Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday. How's everyone doing? Hope you're having a good week so far. I had a nice day off yesterday. So yeah, it's Tinfoil. We have more conspiracies to look at and conspiracy theorists to talk about. So how goes it? Good, I hope. Let's see what I missed in chat. If anything, if you are on YouTube, do me a favor and give the stream a like. Smash that like button. You know how it is. What's humpin'? Not much. Halloween Town, thanks for a 10 stream streak. What's 8 times 9? I don't know off the top of my head. Probably like 72? 72 or 73? In that range. Starry Night, thanks for your 40 stream streak. That's a lot of streams. Says new personal record. Tori Adore, thank you for 46 months. Much appreciated. And Fennikagami says, congratulations to the Hannah and other Michiganders for the retirement of one of your Republican Supreme Court justices. Sadly, here in Maryland, I have bad news. The Francis Scott Key Bridge has collapsed due to a cargo ship collision. 6 people are missing, and a stomach bug is finishing ravaging my house. On the plus side, we have rescued a pit bull mix. She's delightful. That comment was a roller coaster of emotions. Glad for the new dog, though. Jesus. Got a gift. It came in a neat little bag, so that's nice. This is from Humiliated Grapes. Humiliated Grapes got me something for my Amazon wishlist. If I can figure out how to open it. I don't normally... Yeah, I saw Dillis Filler. I saw. Definitely a movie of some kind. It is Amelie. I remember being asked about this, the other day. Maybe it was a week or so ago, so I'm assuming it was for that. Thank you, Humiliated Grapes, for getting me the Blu-ray of Amelie, which I haven't seen yet, so you'll give me an opportunity to take a look. I'll watch that. Thank you. I did see the 200 cheese wheels. That's not a problem. You just become a cheese shop. That's it. God damn, my bangs do not want to work today. You know what? We're a witch today. There you go. If no one can see your forehead, you don't have to worry about your bangs, right? That's the old saying. Fennikagami, thank you for 100 bits, says Hype Train. Almost. So, yeah. Get into it. That's my channel. Oh boy, I have a bunch of stuff pulled up. Vesteven, thanks for 100 bits, kicking off a Hype Train. Thank you very much. Let's start... No, Gina... I like to save Gina for a cleanse, because she's so positive. What's something that's nice and easy? What's an easy starter? Chris hasn't done anything. Chris has been MIA for 2 weeks. Ooh, Medbed Lady. Medbed Lady's fun. So this is the woman that, again, scams people for the medbed stuff. Not monetarily, to my knowledge, though others do so in her name. They take her identity and then charge people money. She likes the attention, it seems like. We are playing bingo. I can't gift a bingo today, because I'm broke as shit. My account's in the negative. So, can't do that. But if you win, I'll write your name down on the list, and I'll get you when I can. But either way, we're gonna play. So medbed lady, let's get into it.
Hey guys, how are we? So, pardon me. So, you want to be a medbed patient? You want medbed treatment? Good. What does that take? Okay, so let's go into a little bit about what that actually means. What does it mean to have a medbed treatment? What do I have to do to get it?
Oh, specifics, that's nice. What do you need to get a medbed treatment?
Well, firstly, you have to know that they're real.
If I already have to believe the thing exists to get it, then it's not a real thing. Bumble Homestead, thanks for 200 bits. Hello, NB Vixen.
If you believe they're not real, then the medbeds are not going to be in your reality. If you're...
Melehu says, I used to be Galaxy Rule on Twitch. I've heard your blessings for house and jobs have been successful. May I ask the boon of your blessing? You have my blessing.
Oh, I'll believe it when I see it. You're not aligning with the reality where they are, because medbeds are 5D technology, so they only exist in
other dimensions on the bingo card with 5D.
in the higher dimensions.
So the medbeds only exist in 5D, which is basically imaginary anyway. I think this is the closest we're going to get to an admission that this is all a scam. They only exist in 5D. In 5D, you're supposed to be incorporeal anyway, right? Like, our physical bodies, according to conspiracy theorists, are, like, physical, but then in the 5th dimension, it's, like, vibrational energy beings, right? So would you even need medbeds? Or the medbeds, like, the friends we made along the way? The medbeds are a metaphor for the healing you get by transcending to the 5th dimension. Mr. Miss Yes Lit Splick. Mr. Missya Spitlick. Stone Corbell, thanks for gifting a sub.
Let me explain. So, everybody of any frequency can be treated in a medbed.
Anyone of any frequency can be treated in a medbed, but you have to commute to the 5th dimension. That's where they get you. Overthought, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs and getting us over level 1 of the hype train.
They can, but they won't. Let me explain. Why won't they? Because the medbeds are here to elevate consciousness, to elevate the race, to advance the race into a higher dimension.
Could we not describe it as the race? Could we say species? We're already talking about medbeds, and a lot of this stuff gets weird and ethno-nationally sometimes, so let's go species. Just let's get the nomenclature in an area where I'm not cringing.
They're not here to heal you. That's just the cherry on the cake, the icing on the cake.
Isn't the 5th dimension imagination? I don't know if Twilight Zone is canon. Like, I don't think when Rod Serling narrated the opening to the Twilight Zone, he thought he was making a statement of fact about the 5th dimension. But I'm gonna say yes, because I'm a big Twilight Zone fan.
They're here to help you
There was a 5th dimension. Not one of sight or sound, but of mind.
advance yourself.
I own every episode of Twilight Zone on Blu-ray and DVD, by the way. Yeah, I'm very impressed. Fuck! Hannah mentions Blu-rays on the bingo card. I'm so predictable.
What does that even mean? Okay, let's start at the beginning. If you are... let's just say there's a number of scenarios I'll use. So the first one, which is very common, you're overweight because you sit down in an office all day, or you're unemployed. It's just a scenario.
Wait, why? I feel like an unemployment situation is a situation where you I guess it depends on if you were doing a very physical job, like if you were a mail person and delivering mail and walking a lot every day, and then you went to being sedentary, sure. But like most people, I think if anything, being unemployed might lower their food intake because you're broke. Although I guess with less money, you might end up resorting to like more calorically dense, cheap food. I don't know. Just seems weird. That seemed weird. Melee Hugh. Wait. Melee Hughesm. Melee Hughes May with 300 bits says, this is Galaxy Rule, changed the name, and I humbly thank you for your blessing. I just want to not live in my parents' basement in a house with 7 other people and only 2 bathrooms. Understandable. Very understandable.
And you eat junk food all day, you don't exercise.
Oh, Melee Hugh is me. Melee Hugh is me.
And you just...
I'm really good at this, guys. I can read. I'm literate.
Screaming at the TV. And...
Oh, this whole thing is sci-fi tech actually exists, yes. Unstable Deadbeat, thanks for gifting a sub and getting us over level 2.
The computer, playing games or something, watching movies all day. You're not eligible for medbed treatment. I tell you why. Because you have not made any effort whatsoever to heal yourself.
Well, that seems weird. Why should I? If there's a bed that can fix everything, then you're just a dick for not providing it. Like, this isn't even a situation of scarcity where you can argue, well, there's only so much to go around. It's a magic bed that heals everything. You can't do that while you're not helping yourself. Why should I? There's a magic machine that fixes it right there. Gimme. Overthought with 100 bits says, anathema.
To make any kind of positive lifestyle changes, which means...
But if you have a magical technology that can, like, cure lung cancer or prevent any damage from smoking, why would you need a lifestyle change? The lifestyle change was going in for my monthly medbed appointment to clean my lungs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm seriously, in a hypothetical world where you have a device that can cure everything immediately, like all of a sudden certain behaviors that are like not good for your health, not as big of a deal. Like smoking is terrible and you shouldn't do it. But if you lived in a world where you could cure any lung thing perfectly immediately, why would that be a bad thing other than maybe, you know, secondhand and stuff? But they could get that fixed. I don't know. I just think that morally this is kind of fucked up. I feel like if you have beds that can cure someone of any disease, you don't get to be judgy about why they have the disease. You have the cure. Give it to them. It's free.
Medbed, while it may make you fit and, you know, in good shape and healthy, you're just going to go straight back and continue eating junk food and watching TV and playing video games all day.
Okay, great. And then I'll get back in the med bed when I need to. Like, what's the issue? Like, you're using circular logic here. You're saying these things are bad because they're unhealthy for you. But if you can get rid of the unhealthy for you aspect, all you're doing is being like, fuck you, I think you're lazy. Which, like, whatever. But in the universe you think exists anyway, it's a magical energy world where everyone can be cured of any disease and there's plenty for all, so why do you care? If you lived in a 5D utopia and someone wanted to sit around and chill all day, is that a bad thing? Is your 5D utopia full of hustle culture, bros? Like, what is this 5D world you imagine? Where everyone can be cured of everything, but also they need to be very, very careful about everything they do. Otherwise, the med beds will get cut off because they're not helping themselves enough. I know it's just an excuse, by the way, so she doesn't have to explain that all of this is bullshit. I know, I'm just internally, the narrative she's trying to paint, the, like, meta-narrative of the world she's painting makes no sense and makes her seem like a dick.
So why have a med bed at all? When you're just going to return to what?
That's the reason to have a med bed! If I'm gonna fix it myself, why have a med bed at all? What in the world?
You did previously. You haven't made any changes. Which means you're going to return to the same physical state as what you were before the medbed. No point. So you're not eligible for medbed treatment.
She is. She's doing medbeds help those who help themselves. She is. This is incredible. A minute left on the hype train. 12% to level 3.
There's no point to it. If you're a smoker and you have to quit, but you've made no effort because smoking is a toxin, and a medbed
if you could clear out the toxin for free, it wouldn't matter.
Treatment would restore
That's
your body
Demon, thanks
to
for
perfect
300
health.
bits.
But
22%
why,
to level 3.
when you're just going to go straight back outside after the medbed procedure and light up a cigarette? Why have the procedure at all? There's no point. The medbeds are not here to fix your issues. To fix
That seems like the point, doesn't it?
your problems that you are not
for the
willing
hype train.
to or don't want to work on to fix. They're here to help people elevate themselves and to make better choices, to care for them. So people that are very sick from, let's just say bowel cancer. First one that popped into my head. Let's use bowel cancer. They're end stage bowel cancer. Okay. They straight away will be put into a medbed and healed. Right. That's bowel cancer. They're almost on their deathbed. They're end stage. It's already taken hold of their body. So pretty much anything they do is really not going to help at that point. Okay, because they've allowed it to get to that point. Now,
They've allowed it to get to that point? I'm starting to feel like she probably thinks you can will diseases out of existence too.
I'll explain.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be put in the medbed and healed. They'll also be told to take better care of their health. Now, I'm not saying...
Now, don't you catch cancer again, young lady.
People that have cancer have allowed it to get that point. I'm saying that this is where the medbed...
Of the 3 Gs, she sure has gatekeep down pat. She's also pretty good at gaslighting.
You to expand your consciousness, meaning look at alternatives, try alternatives. Don't just rely on mainstream medicine to heal you. Okay, so people with stage 1, 2, or 3 cancer, they will probably be told or asked, what have you done to try and heal yourself? Have you changed your diet? Have you... and this is just an example, okay? I'm not saying this.
Imagine the dystopian world she's painting in which they literally have what is akin to like a vial of cancer cure, and they're withholding it unless you do exactly what they say is so fucked.
It's gonna happen. I'm just saying it's an example. It's a scenario. Okay. Have you looked at your health in a different light, in a more positive way?
Have you looked at your debilitating cancer or whatever ailment? Have you thought positive about it? Because I don't think we're going to cure it for you until you start having a better attitude, bucko.
Have you tried any holistic alternatives? What have you actually done besides chemo?
I don't need a holistic alternative. You have a med bed. Give it to me. What is this, the fucking happiness patrol? Fucking give me the med bed. This is nuts. Funakagami says, this is kind of like how Christians don't understand that it's God's fault that evil exists if he's all-powerful because he also allows it to exist. If I can regenerate my arm like Deadpool, why outside of the pain would I worry about losing an arm? Yeah.
And surgery to actually heal yourself. Have you looked into the energy systems of the body? You know, actually looked into different alternative treatments. Have you looked into acupuncture?
What are the comments? Oh, she turned the comments off. That makes sense. Because, like, I got to imagine the comments on this, even from her followers, would be mean. Like, you're promising people this incredible imaginary sci-fi technology that'll cure all of their ailments, and now you're gatekeeping it and being like, I don't know, I don't think you did good enough. Like, it's fucked up enough that you're doing this and you don't have it, like it doesn't exist. You're promising something you have no right to promise people. You're giving them false hope. It's disgusting. But on top of that, now you're trying to conform their behavior to your standard or you're going to withhold this imaginary thing, this fake carrot you're dangling in front of them? That's sick. This is sick.
Have you looked into a bit of yoga? You know, everything like that. The person
Sorry, I
says,
didn't think
no,
downward dog
no,
would
I
cure
trust
my
doctor.
cancer.
Go away for 2 months. Have a look. Start making some changes in your life. Stop being in fear and start making some changes in your life. Again, just a scenario. Okay. That person goes away, goes and gets acupuncture, massage, does some yoga, changes their ideas about their body, so they look at it in a more positive light. Now they're more positive. They come back in 2 months, have another scan. Oh my god, the tumor has gone. Wow, how did that happen?
Because false positives happen, the initial thing could have been a mistake, they could have seen something that wasn't actually there, that was an error, or that read wrong on the scan. Sometimes people do go into remission. It's rare, but sometimes that does just happen. It could be a false negative the second time. Who knows? You can't just say, well, a thing happens sometimes, so we should never try any actual evidenced medicine. What in the world?
No chemo, no surgery, just changing their perspective and changing their lifestyle.
Hey, you know how that normally doesn't happen, though, and people just, like, die horribly? Let's prevent that.
Again, just a scenario. So now we book you in for a general healing. We don't need to get rid of the cancer, it's gone. Now you have a general healing. And what have you done? You have learned to heal the body, which is exactly what the med beds are here to do. The med beds are here to expand your mind, to look after yourself, to heal yourself first. Why? Because med beds are 5D technology. So by introducing the med beds, you're also introducing yourself to the new earth, which is taking care of yourself with an expanded mind, expanded consciousness. So those who have mental disabilities are, of course, not required to do any of this. They can't. Okay? Children, they can't, but their parents can.
Sorry, kid, your parent isn't up to our standards, so your Hodgkin's lymphoma or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, I don't know, whichever's the bad one, we're not going to treat it, is what she just said.
People in a coma obviously can't. People in a car accident obviously can't. Okay? Brain injuries obviously can't. So if you are capable and it's safe to do so, then they will ask you to do some kind of...
What happened to her being in trouble? She hasn't mentioned it, so I don't know.
Training.
She deleted a lot of her old stuff.
Program. Something like that. Even a paraplegic may be asked to do some kind of physical rehab before they have their procedure.
Fucking what?
Because the better mind and body...
We could just, like, fix your spine, but what if we just, like, didn't? 'Cause fuck you, that's why. Suffering. These people who think that suffering is inherently some sort of moral good. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes suffering can lead to things. Sometimes suffering is a part of growth processes in specific contexts. Like, arguably, like, going to the gym, right? That can feel in some small way like suffering, but you're expending effort to get a result. But in general, people take this concept to think that, like, suffering is always some sort of cleansing agent, and it is not. A lot of the time, suffering is just suffering. It's pointless. It does not enrich. It destroys. It's not a positive. Pterodona says, then the med beds can't do jack shit then. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
healthy you are, the better the procedure and the faster the outcome. So the quicker the recovery.
It reminds me a little bit of like the Bed Bath & Beyond or meme stock communities at large who have this idea that high risk must inherently come with high opportunity of reward, when in reality sometimes you can just take huge risks for no reason. you know? This is like that. It's this association with suffering and, like some sort of result, some sort of growth, or whatever. And assuming that the two always come together as if you can't suffer greatly for absolutely no reason. Or bad reasons. Evil, malicious reasons.
Everyone's screaming.
Or even
people are dying, people are sick. We need med beds now. Well, we do need med beds now. What are you doing right now to heal yourself? Besides screaming, we need med beds. Because when the med beds are available, you may be able to book your scan appointment immediately, but that doesn't mean you're going to get your med bed treatment immediately. It means that you will get your scan appointment, and then you may be able to book your med bed appointment straight away. But maybe not. Maybe you haven't made any effort to heal yourself or to make better life choices. Maybe you can...
I don't know how her followers deal with that. That's so condescending and terrible. Ridiculous. Alright, moving on. This is so interesting. This is a Super Soldier video. We've covered the Super Soldier Talk people before. If you haven't seen me cover them, basically they're a group of people, a quite large internet community of people, who believe that they have, through past life regression or memory recovery therapy, which is a scam, they believe that they have uncovered memories of a past life in which they were super soldiers in a secret government program working with aliens. It involves time travel. The canon of various fictional universes like Star Trek and Star Wars are interwoven. I've seen some Doctor Who stuff in here. It's sort of a collective fiction that all of these people are collaborating in. Sort of think of like, excuse me, like the SCP Foundation, except the SCP Foundation, except the SCP Foundation is a collective fiction, and everyone knows it's like fan fiction of a collective universe. This they all think is real. It seems like they're LARPing, but they genuinely believe this. And this was interesting, and it caught my eye, because this isn't your typical guest. The host seems intimidated to interview this guy, and everyone is like acting like he's a celebrity even within the Super Soldier community, and I don't know anything about it, so I wanted to take a look. Profane Priestess says, just going to say this since she's talking about disabled people, there is a eugenicsy concept that neurodivergent and also disabled people should be, quote, fixed. It's often rooted in a belief that we couldn't possibly be happy, so we should be fixed regardless of our consent. It's an excuse to not give us the help we need, and also an excuse not to represent us in fiction, because we've all been, quote, fixed by magic or sci-fi tech. It's gross. Yeah, there was discourse about that recently on Twitter, about, people with, again, like, quote-unquote disabilities in fantasy settings. It was a picture or an illustration someone had done of a D&D party, and one of the members was in a wheelchair, and people were being like, why is that person in a wheelchair? And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Oh. Anyway. They need to watch X3. So anyway, here's the Super Soldier thing. Oh yeah, the intro's great. I always play it. It's just so out there. And to be clear, this is all illustrative of what they think. This is supposed to be like the Super Soldier stuff that they were in. Toriador says, is this the new Bible man? Nah, no one will ever beat Miles Peterson. Miles Peterson, a man who had it all. Wealth, status, success. But still, something was lacking. God damn, I miss Bible Man. What a shit show.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Super Soldier Talk. My name is James Rink, and hold on, let me just mute this. It keeps going on all the time. So, I am
James on the left here, James Rink, is sort of the head of this Super Soldier channel. He hosts a lot of the time. I don't know if he's the originator of this stuff, but he runs the big Super Soldier Talk channels, both on Rumble and on YouTube. He's a central figure at conferences and stuff. I don't know if he's some sort of de facto leader, but he's certainly a mouthpiece that I see most often in this community.
a super soldier, and I was utilized in the secret space program. And I believe I'm still active, but today it's not about me. It is about Michael McIntosh. Thank you so much, Michael, for joining us here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I know. I feel like in presence of a celebrity. I mean, oh my gosh, President McIntosh. Oh my gosh.
He's gonna go over this, but they believe that because time travel is a part of this whole thing, they believe that this guy becomes the president of the United States sometime in the next couple decades. I don't remember exactly what year. In the description, there's a whole thing, but I think he reads it, so I don't want to go over it. It'll just be redundant. But anyway, they think this guy's going to be the president at some point in the next couple decades. So, get ready to vote for this guy, I guess.
Have you like thought about that in your head?
Yeah, it seems. I mean, it's a job, and someone has to do it. So
I could have a beer with him. Well, I couldn't. I'm a recovered alcoholic, but
it's not like
the presidency. It's just a job, man. It's like any other job. Royal Ann with a $5 super chat says, I hope you can pick up your package. It arrived at the post office on last Saturday. We enjoyed watching you. Yes, there are apparently 2 packages. I contacted someone today to go pick it up for me. One of them is just pick upable. The other one apparently is a package that has postage due, and I'm broke as shit right now. Like I said, my account's like very in the negative, so I can't pay for the postage on that, whoever sent that one, so that's probably going to get returned to sendered. Sorry, I'll like, if I can pay, cool, but like if it's a bunch, I don't have the money to pay to pick it up. So we'll see what happens with that one.
I would think really
Mark said
highly of
yes.
myself because of being forced into that position, frankly, or that I think highly of another person because they're in that job either. To me, it's just a job, and we have it there to serve a purpose and to serve a function in our country. And
I can see why he gets elected. He's very charismatic. He really is the JFK of the next generation.
that's the way I've always looked at it, and I think it should be there to be used to serve the people. And
Dillis Filler with 100 bits says, for shipping and handling. Thank you.
if I end up in that position, that's what I would hope to do with it.
So thank you, Michael, for that. So for those of you who are wondering what in the world we talk about, president of what? I'm guessing it's going to be the future of the United States. And I think we're going to switch over to a republic and get rid of the corporation. So
what about Bob with $20 tip says, helps a little. Well, thank you very much. And it gets us closer to a costume day. Thank you.
you might be like what the second president of the court. Anyway, we're going to get to that just a bit. But hold your thoughts. Comment just about, let me read it. So Michael is a time traveler, musician, carpenter, investor, and minister, ordained minister.
Wow. Wears a lot of hats.
He has multiple degrees.
I do too, but mine are just hats, not fake job titles, so I think that's okay.
From Harvard, including business and law, as well as a...
Yeah, he claims he has multiple degrees from Harvard. Yeah. This says, I'm going to read this. Michael is a time traveler, musician, carpenter, investor, and minister, multiple degrees in Harvard, business and law, An almost complete degree in computer science. Ooh, almost complete. From there, he went to Cornell and received a degree in quantum physics.
Almost completed degree in computer science. From there, he went to Cornell
Can you put almosts on your resume? That doesn't seem okay, right? Can I put almosts?
University and received a degree in quantum physics. Am I getting this right?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, good.
Roughly.
When he went through a car accident, he began doing regression therapy sessions to heal his trauma. At that point, he realized he was in a certain top secret type programs, and his memories were suppressed through memory wipe technology. After he working through the trauma, he realized
I think you could get a degree in physics, and then if you were to get a PhD, you could probably specialize in quantum physics. But I don't know if there's just a degree in quantum physics.
as a child, he worked with the different alphabet groups from which his dad was also involved with.
And by that, I mean, I genuinely do not know. It is entirely possible, but I do not know.
That was experimenting with teleportation and time travel. So from there, he would travel from
It's not it's LARPing in the sense that it's not true what they're saying, but it's not LARPing in the sense that they don't believe what they're saying. They aren't thinking to themselves, this is a fun little backstory I put together and I spend my nights writing it for funsies. These people believe this stuff is true.
Calgary to El Segundo, California, and then to Mars. He has met Barack Obama, Harry Truman in 1945 to 1940.
I feel like you lead with Harry Truman, since, time travel.
47 when he
It's more impressive than don't get me wrong, to meet any president's an interesting thing. Oh, tell me something about yourself. Oh, I've met President such and such. But you lead with the time travel one.
went back in time. You were on the crashed vessel at Roswell. So as a 14, I think
He was on the Roswell vessel. Okay, so at this point we have him, we have Dr. Zoidberg, and Quark are all collectively the aliens at Area 51.
you said you
That's gotta have a TV tropes page, right? Like someone's the alien at Area 51.
were 14 years old.
At that
And Roger. They did that. Did they do that on American Dad? Well, there you go.
point, I was 45, actually.
I think it's probably time to rest that trope. It's been done. If you have an alien on your TV show, don't do a time travel episode where they turn out to be the alien from Roswell.
Roughly. It was 2019, so
Okay.
April, whatever age I was then. I think I would have been 44, 45-ish.
Okay, so you were 45, so you were sent back in time with the Gray. I guess Grays were on that ship too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the first thing, what were the I tell you what, let me just I'll go through this and then we'll ask you a question. I'm so excited about this. Is I love time.
Like, he's legitimately flustered, you know what I mean? I've always been kind of under the impression that James was a little bit in on this and, like, kind of knew it was bullshit, but, liked that he was the head of this group. He's fanboying. And believe me, I don't say that derisively. I've fangirled plenty in my life. If I met Scott Bakula, oh my god, it would be worse than this. But, like, Scott Bakula was actually on Quantum Leap. This guy's just a guy. He really believes he's the fucking future president. It's a shame. Rick M, thanks for 10 months, says, I want to know what's at Area 49.
Time travel shows, honestly. It's like my favorite.
Area 51 is actually, the entire base at Roswell is not Area 51. Area 51 is one specific top-down map region. The rest of the base does exist in other areas on the map. It's just that it is cordoned off into different areas, and a specific area within it is Area 51, and it's catchy, and I think that just took off. But there's more than just Area 51 at Roswell.
Favorite genre, any science fiction movie and all that, but actually they may actually be self-disclosure.
You want to know what's inside Area 69? That's actually a division of the Bad Dragon Company. It's where they make the molds for some of their ovipositors.
Okay, so anyway, all right.
That was a good joke, but I'm disgusted with myself to be able to know enough to make that joke. Samantha with 20 New Zealand dollar super chat says, thanks, Hannah, you make my day better. Well, thank you. I'm glad I can be entertaining to literally anyone.
So from there, the military got a hold of you.
No, that's not what okay, Hannah regrets what she just said. I'll take it.
And you said you wanted to talk to the president.
Bad Dragon doesn't do ovipositors. I'm pretty sure they have at some point, because I've looked at their website for ironic reasons? Question mark. Anyway, I've seen ovipositors. I'm pretty sure they had them at some point on Bad Dragon. I don't know.
Who was Harry Truman at the time, and then they asked if you were.
Sorry, you're right. Groom Lake, also Roswell is in New Mexico. Area 51 is Nevada. You're Nevada.
German, but you said no, you were from the future. So then you got to meet Roscoe.
They sell eggs, but not the ovipositors. Okay, that probably fucked me up.
Hillencotter.
Not literally.
Cotter.
Again,
who
because
was a
they
member
have
of
the
Engine
eggs and not the Okay, I'm done with this bit.
12, and also an admiral. And I think was it
Tori says, in recent news, Bad Dragon actually sued another sex toy company for stealing designs, so lawyers in the furry community have been looking over it and laughing. Also, for the record, Bad Dragon does not have ovipositors. That's primal hardware. Okay.
Corey Good?
I'm getting schooled on the sex toy companies, so.
He talks about being on the Hillencotter and the Solar Warden, so which doesn't surprise me, because like the first was 19.
Did I cover your channel, The Sanity Machine? I don't know. Let's see.
Video. It's not because of.
Is this conspiracy theorist shows up in chat on the bingo card? Hold on. Let's check.
You can see a little bit more clearly what's going on here, and hopefully it will help us one day, okay, in the future, in getting out of here. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm not just covering stuff all the time that's interesting. I mean, I could cover ancient history and make a channel.
I'm thinking this is conspiracy theorist shows up in chat for the Sanity Machine, so everyone thank the Sanity Machine for posting on the YouTube chat for your space on the bingo card. I don't know if I've looked at your channel, Sanity Machine. Maybe at some point. It just depends. I do cover conspiracies, but they have to be, like, interesting personalities, generally. That sounded mean. I'm just saying I don't know you. I'll have to take a look at your channel. I don't think I've seen it before.
77. My gosh, I should know. It's 1981. That's right. During Star Wars is when Solar Warden, well, it existed before then, but that's when, anyway, it came into being. So,
and thank you for the $2 Canadian Super Chat, Sanity Machine, as well.
We also met Bill Gates and Andrew Basiago. And you've been into the future in 2082 to review historical records to see who our future presidents will be. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger literally can't be the president as the laws currently are. You need to be a natural-born U.S. citizen in order to be the president of the United States as per the Constitution. It would require, I believe, a constitutional amendment to change that, which in this political climate is quite unlikely.
I have to explain that one because I thought foreigners are not allowed to be presidents, but in 2044,
correct.
Michael McIntosh, one term in 28 and one term in 2068. Andrew Basiago in 2036, Alex Jones in 2048.
Oh God, Alex Jones becomes the president? Oh, I would be, you know, I know this isn't true, but let's indulge for a moment. We would have a tinfoil golden age if Alex Jones became the president. Don't get me wrong, it would be a disaster, and everyone I know, including myself, would be in grave danger. But also, as I hide out in a bunker somewhere in the woods, holy shit, Tinfoil Tuesday would be lit, wouldn't it? Just every day. You could have, it wouldn't even be Tinfoil Tuesday. It'll just be tinfoil every day.
Ann Coulter in 2040, etc.
Oh, etc. What do you mean, etc.? That's not a pattern I can extrapolate from.
So that was only the short list, but oh my gosh, where should we even get? How about you comment about Arnold Schwarzenegger? What can you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, to my knowledge, we're about to change the law in regard to presidential eligibility
What
anyway.
do you mean, to your knowledge? There's no...
So I think that if and when that changes,
I hate Twitch Times 2 says, as a time traveler, I'm sending people back in time to give you content. Send lottery numbers!
someone like Arnold, who isn't really a foreigner anymore, he's lived in the United States since the 1960s.
Right, he's a naturalized US citizen, but naturalized citizens aren't allowed to be the president.
He's a United States citizen. He's really more American than probably most Americans at this point. He's been governor of
That would break the code? Fuck your code! Give me lottery numbers!
California. He's got...
Fenekagami says, remember when Cenk Uygur did that whole grift of running for president even though he was born in Turkey? I do remember.
the experience needed to run the country. And so maybe it has something to do with the law in that regard. But my understanding of law anyway, and the natural born citizenship clause, is that he was actually born in what at the time was United States territory, which was Allied occupied Austria. So
just
he
because
was,
it's
in fact, born
occupied doesn't make it
in
U.S.
United States.
territory. Occupation and territory are two different things.
Citizen anyway, even though he probably doesn't necessarily realize that. But it's sort of akin to someone having been born in, say, Arizona when it was a territory. That's what Austria was when Schwarzenegger was born. So
that's not what territory means.
Maybe there's some...
Like, the U.S. has military bases all over the world, probably in most countries. That doesn't mean all the countries of the world are U.S. territories.
Technical eligibility there that the public isn't generally aware of, but from a legal standpoint would include him as eligible for the presidency. I don't know. I guess we'll see when we get there.
Wow. So many questions. So was he a good president? Did the historical record say, oh?
I'm really not sure,
Okay.
but I hope so.
Why is this guy so popular? That's what's getting to me. This guy is clearly popular within the super soldier community, which is interesting. But why? Does he just tell a good story? Because it doesn't seem like it. He seems pretty unassuming. So what about him makes him so popular? Huh.
I don't know Arnold. I've never met him or talked with him, but...
You have to be born on a U.S. base or embassy or have one or both American citizen parents. James Luke Picante, thanks for 22 months.
Here's a good question though. So let's see here. So let me look this up here. Give me a moment. I'm gonna do. So he was, oh my gosh, he was born in 1947. So he's currently 76 years old. So you say he's going to be president in 20. So he, what was it? 20? I say 20.
I feel I'm gonna look at his reaction here. Did he not think to himself the math in his head? Like, he might have just not thought, how old is Arnold Schwarzenegger right now? You know, in his head, maybe it's still 1986, and he's thinking about Schwarzenegger like he's younger, or even 90s Schwarzenegger. They're now going to do the math and figure out how old he's going to be when he's supposed to be president, and it's going to be like in his 80s or 90s. I don't think this guy thought this through.
Let me look this up here. Give me a moment. I'm gonna do. So he was, oh my gosh, he was born in 1947. So he's currently 76 years old. So you say he's going to be president in 20. So he, what was it? 20? I say 2044.
I believe that's what I was able to
96
ascertain. Yeah, it's like 20.
Ooh, he seems more uncomfortable now. See, here's my fear. My brain is yelling at me, he seems really uncomfortable. He's kind of folded his arms and stuff. He's, like, closed off. He's kind of looks a little shifty, and he's less committal. But also, I think body language reading is kind of bullshit, so I don't want to project a bunch of stuff onto him. But I just want to point out I get the sense that he's uncomfortable, that the specifics are being questioned. Yeah, I don't want to do the Jim can't swim thing. I'm really not trying to do that. Oh. Fedekagami says, also, isn't it wonderful how so many of the instigators of our current political instability do so from the safety of a bunker so they don't have to suffer the consequences of their own actions? At least J. Jonah Jameson had the balls to piss off Spider-Man from his public address.
2044.
So it's going to be 96 years old. So
Maybe it was 2040, actually. It might have been 2040.
Willing to shift it downward to make it more. Again, look at how he's now being confronted with the ridiculousness of the president being like 96 years old. We're already upset about the presidential candidates this year being in their like late 70s. And now he's talking about almost a 100-year-old president. So now he is moving the goalposts. Moves goalposts on the bingo card.
If I'm actually remembering correctly. I believe it was 2040, actually. Excuse my inaccuracy, but these are memories that I had to deeply regress into attaining, and from experiences that happened to me when I was about 5 years old. So you're talking 40 years of memories that were actually suppressed. And then I had to deep dive into my own
Once they get the med beds, 96 won't be old at all. See, that would have been the lie to go for.
memory to kind of.
What he did was the akin of improv going, no. And in improv, you never say no. You say yes and. So when James said, oh, so he's 96, he shouldn't have said no, I misremembered. He should have doubled down and said, yes, medbed technology will make 96 the new 50. Like, I'm not telling you to do this because it's highly unethical. I'm just critiquing his ability to spin conspiracy yarns. Just saying. If you're gonna go lie big, Why not?
Draw them out. It took a lot of meditation and relaxation and proper environment, and using like altering frequencies around me and all kinds of stuff.
Frequencies, again, the obsession with this concept of frequencies, of energies, of concretizing their feelings into some sort of electromagnetic wave that permeates the universe instead of just being feelings in their brain meat.
It was very intensive, and so I'm finding that sometimes the things that I'm remembering may not be entirely completely accurate. Like, for instance, initially I thought that I would end up becoming the president of the United States in 2024. I think it's pretty clear that at this point that's probably not going to happen. I think
never say never.
We're going to have either President Biden again or another Donald Trump.
It might have helped to become the president if you had attempted to run for the office, probably. Maybe next time try that.
I think it's probably more likely Donald Trump personally, but I'm not on either side in that.
Is this that electric universe where they tried to say gravity is really electricity? That's a separate thing, though that does exist. That tends to more permeate the flat earth communities. This is pretty separate from that, because these people believe in space and aliens and stuff. Flat earthers tend to be in a pocket of conspiracy that doesn't believe in space. That's more into esoteric, magical, demon, vaguely Christian stuff. This is more in the sci-fi, aliens, Arcturian, Stargate type conspiracy stuff. So there's kind of a spectrum, and it's not like... You'd probably need something more akin to like a political compass, maybe not even like a 4, axis one. It would maybe need more than that. But there is a tendency to lean more towards like the fantasy, which is more esoteric, old religions, looking backward stuff. And then there's others that move more towards aliens, sci-fi, entities that are higher in vibration than us. This is more on this side, whereas the electric universe stuff is more on this side for the most part, which is weird because it sounds science-y, but it's usually used to explain away the science of gravity rather than affirm any sort of actual scientific worldview. So
argument. But it looks to me like perhaps unfortunately another 4 years of Donald Trump. But it seems to me like if I do end up in that position, it won't be until 2028.
Okay. Wow. Let's go through all this. So, um, are you at liberty to tell us what year you were born?
Yeah, I was born in 1974.
Okay. So let's just do some mathematics. So you say you're going to be president in 2068.
Yeah, not a Trump
And
supporter. Not every conspiracy theorist is a Trump supporter. There are certainly those that are. That falls into more the political MAGA camp, which is its own. That could be an axis on the, if I was to make some sort of conspiratorial like chart like that, like the political compass test. Partisan motivation would probably be one of the axes, and they tend to sit in the partisan axis area of the conspiracy community. A lot of them don't. A lot of them are like, I'm not going to call them centrists. I'll call them more equally disposed to distrusting people in power regardless of political affiliation. So he's probably the kind of person who doesn't like Biden or Trump and just thinks it's all fake, or at the very least thinks it doesn't matter. Generally, they're people who think they are beyond politics, which isn't really a thing, but they think they are.
1974. So that means you're going to be 94 years old in your second term. So
I like these questions, by the way. If anyone ever has questions about the stuff we're watching, please ask me, because I know a lot about this conspiracy stuff. Like, I don't believe it, obviously. You're watching this show, you know I'm a skeptic. But, like, in terms of how they think and how the structure of the conspiracy community is, I have a lot of thoughts on it. So if you ever have questions, please ask.
exactly.
Apparently.
Yeah. So how does that work?
Well, I'll be 94 years old, and to my recollection, which hasn't happened yet, which is really weird. And I think I'll live that long, honestly, even without any kind of healthcare, technical, scientific intervention, because I come from a long line of
No one has a bingo yet, no.
people who have actually lived to be quite old, and I'm really quite boring. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I sleep properly. You know, I'm like, I don't take drugs, or I don't overwork myself or anything like that. So I'm kind of suited to be 100 at least, I think. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you know if like is there technology released that increases people's lifespans?
It's possible. I really did not find out any of that information, but it is certainly possible.
I feel like he didn't look up a lot. He went to the future and then he didn't look much up. I don't know. I can't say what I would do if I found myself in the future, but I'd probably take more notes.
I would say it's...
He's right about being boring. See, I find that fascinating, is the dissonance between how exciting James makes him seem through the narrative that's been built about him going to the future and being a president and having all these PhDs versus the reality in front of him that doesn't seem to shake his confidence in the overarching like narrative.
Indeed probable that healthcare developments will help people to live longer, as long as people know how to use healthcare advancements and sort of don't, you know, as education about healthcare increases, I think also is the main thing.
Well,
in the future, you'd get lottery numbers and stock advice, right? You look up, you know, most important technical advances of the last however many years in the future you are. Just look it up.
do you know what kind of president Alex Jones makes?
Listen here, Americans, I promise a bone broth in every pot. The only thing we have to fear are the hypno demons. That's right, the hypno demons.
Did you look at any specific examples in the historical archives?
Hydrate, I can do that.
I don't know. I would assume that Alex Jones becomes president because of his outspokenness. I mean, he's obviously a very outspoken person and has been very outspoken and has done a lot for the First Amendment of the United States, if we really think about it. When nobody else was on the air talking about stuff, Alex Jones was there, blah, blah, blah.
And all the ass you can eat. Don't make promises you can't fulfill, America.
And
You have no idea how much ass I can eat.
shouting.
Okay, that was... Hannah regrets what she just said on the bingo card. That joke wasn't worth it. In my younger days, I had no problem committing to the bit and saying the most disgusting, ridiculous things ever. As I've grown older, I've grown some sort of disgusting respect for myself that's done nothing but harm me.
Hooting and hollering. And so maybe it's just America paying back a debt to Alex Jones by giving him some more work to do. I really don't know, but that's what I was able to figure out. Alex Jones in 2040, that would be 2044. No, sorry, 2048. Excuse me, 2048.
Okay.
And, that would be for 4 years, and in between Arnold and Alex would be a woman who we know today, Ann Coulter, who is a well-known writer and sort of conservative commentator, has been.
I find it hard to believe that Republicans would get behind a woman president, even if they were a Republican. There are enough Republicans who are just like anti-women in power that I think they would not be comfortable sitting or voting for a woman. I think they'll hold their nose and vote for a ticket that has a woman as the vice president, like Sarah Palin back a decade or so ago, back in 2008. But I don't think they would with a woman, even now in 2024, I don't think they would as a woman as the presidential candidate.
Very.
Isn't Coulter anti-Trump now? I have no idea.
Critical of Donald Trump. And
apparently, according to the future president.
From Connecticut, my old neighborhood. So
I'm sorry, I'm cracking up at the idea of this guy being the future president. He's got just kind of a very, like, whatever attitude that I would like in a president. I don't like that he's delusional about super soldier stuff, but, like, he's kind of got, you know, foreign policy. I don't know, man. Let's, like, sit around and talk about it. Tyrodona says the U.S. owed a debt to the gray aliens, and as a payment, we had to elect Alex Jones. That's a shame, but I get it.
Apparently, she's going to be my vice president also before then, which is weird. So,
oh, wow. Have you?
He's just like, apparently that's a decision I make. Determinism's a bitch, huh?
Actually, contacted her yet about it?
I have contacted her. I've not received any response, but maybe.
Hey, Miss Coulter, so I went to the future, and I'm the future president, and I'm gonna be the president after you, but you're gonna be my vice president. Is that okay? Cool.
As I said, it's a little too early to...
Getting a Zaphod vibe from him.
For me
he has too few heads.
To kind of get into actually putting a real campaign together. Because initially I did think it was going to be 2024, but thinking about it further, it doesn't seem likely. It seems like it's probably 2028, and that just my memory is not serving me completely accurately.
Convenient.
Wow. Can you tell us any other any names that you think might what the historical records show from that particular point in timeline?
Yeah. Of people that you would know, there's...
Maybe he got confused and it was just a TV show where all this stuff happened and he counts it as a historical record like Galaxy Quest.
The famous lawyer from Washington State, Andrew Bashago.
Oh, yeah.
Is,
I mean,
to my recollection, going to be president at some point. I believe that it will probably be, let's see, 2032... Probably 2032.
36.
No,
36.
36, yeah, 36. I think he'll probably end up being the vice president in 2032, and that's how he makes his way to the presidency. And there's a young woman named Yolanda King, who I think is going to be the president in 2032. And
Wait, who is that again? Yolanda King.
Yolanda Renee King. She is the granddaughter of Martin Luther King Jr.
That's right. Wow, because
Mm.
if the FBI didn't take him out, then King would have most likely been president, and we would have had much more integration between the different races here in the United States on that particular timeline. It's my opinion.
If Martin Luther King Jr. hadn't been killed, Fox News would have been shitting on him just like they did like Al Sharpton. I don't know, and I'm not saying Al Sharpton is Martin Luther King Jr. I'm just saying like
Probably.
It's so funny how Republicans like now try to act as though Martin Luther King Jr. is someone they ever would have respected contemporaneously.
Right, and I think it's also noteworthy that Yolanda is not just African American, Black, whatever term you want to use. She's also a young woman. She's only 14 or something right now. So in 2032, she'll only be in her 20s. So it seems like we are definitely on course to changing the legal requirement for the office of president, because right now you have to be 35 years old for starters.
It's so funny that he doesn't use that as evidence that his beliefs are wrong. It's that, no, we'll do constitutional amendments in the next, what year is it, 2024? In the next 6 years, in the next 6 to 10 years, we're going to be doing multiple constitutional amendments so people under 35 and non-US born citizens to be the president.
Interesting. I'm looking up right now. Yolanda King, was this the same one that was born in 1955, or is this a different one?
This is a different one. She's very young right now.
He just said she's not going to be 35 by that year. Was he listening? I'm going to start skipping through.
I think with Dr. Wu, I was so he was a Chinese quantum physicist who was working on supercomputers there in an underground facility, but he managed to smuggle a supercomputer out. And but the long story is, his supercomputer was looking in. It said they can look into not only it could look in the future, but other alternate timelines. So this quantum supercomputer was predicting that there was going to be an explosion in Times Square. It was like, I think it was in 22, like March. And it was really weird. On that same day, it was all we stand with the Ukraine signs all over Times Square. You can go look it up and see what exact day it was. And they were going to, basically the cabal was going to detonate a bomb, and
cabal on the bingo card,
and blame it on Russia, and then nukes would start flying, and then we would learn that they had hypersonic nukes, and they shot all of ours out of the sky, and the United States turned into dust. It was pretty.
Discover is, I guess I assumed that the ICBMs that Russia and the United States had at this point were both faster than sound, right?
Bad, so
because hypersonic just means faster than the speed of sound, right?
Thankfully that was all stopped.
I think we need to realize that there are definitely people in this world who want the United States and Russia and China at each other's throats for any reason that they can.
Faster than supersonic? Okay.
Muster up to make that a reason for that to happen. And as long as we're collectively aware of that, then it won't happen. If we forget that this is what people are trying to make happen and think that it's...
Thanks, Astro.
We start forming these sides in our head, that's how it's actually possible. But if we realize that it's just, what the media says about Russia, America, this kind of Russia versus America, most of the time it's just not even true. And like I was talking to somebody from Ukraine recently, and she was telling me very plainly that most of what's being said about what's going on there is completely untrue in the media. So I think that to hear that
this guy's
straight
a
from it goes
charisma
beep beep
vacuum.
beep. If you've stolen something or you forgot to demagnetize your security tag, it was sort of like that. And you walk through it, and
That in 1984.
it was written down in 1984. It didn't actually happen in 1984, but
Literally
it was
1984?
transcribed in 1984.
Oh wow. Here it is. So a psychic spy. So what did it say here? So what can you tell us briefly? Let's just this is too many ads, guys. Too many ads. So tell us what did you actually see when you remote viewed Mars?
Remote viewing, aka closing your eyes and imagining a place. That must be nice. As someone who can't see things in my head, that must be nice.
Okay.
Goddamn visual imagination having fucks. Alright, enough of the future president. Let's take a look at the bingo card, shall we? Boo-doop, boop, 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 boo-doo, 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 boo-boo, boo. Hannah regrets something she just said. Illuminati, Freemasons, Cabal. Past lives, reincarnation. No. Do we have Clintons or anything? You can't imagine having aphantasia? Not fun. Moves goalposts. Hannah mentions Blu-rays. Dimensions beyond our own. Believe sci-fi technology actually exists. Conspiracy theorist shows up in chat. Anything else? Do I have visual dreams? My dreams are hard to remember, but when I do, I know that they have visuals. Like, I've also, like, taken drugs before in my life where I have visuals, so I know my brain is at least hypothetically capable of producing imagery with the right circumstances, dreaming, like, vivid dreams and certain drugs. But, yeah. I do not see, like, if right now I was like, I need to think of, like, an apple. Like, I can maybe I can get, like, a few like, a quick glimpse of, like, a vague apple still picture. I can't do moving stuff. I can't keep things in my head. I don't know. It's weird. When I was describing the axis of conspiracy things, no visuals, correct. I have to just kind of, like, vibe it out with words. I remember things verbally. Did he mention Biden? He did. He did. It wasn't in a conspiratorial way, but I guess the card doesn't say that. It just says mention him. So the Biden space on the bingo card you can mark. Everything in my head is just categorized in files, and I just make connections verbally. Hydrate. It's frustrating and annoying. Oh, for those of you who... I posted about this on the Discord. Chili DeCastro did a call from jail last night. It's pretty interesting, so we're probably going to cover that tomorrow. So if you're interested in delete laws, his arrest, his jail time, along with other sovereign citizen stuff, we're going to cover that tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Oh, this is an interesting one.
Like I've done for so many years, I've relied on my subscribers to... So here we go. Like I've done for so many years, I've relied on my subscribers to figure things out. Things that I've noticed but couldn't quite break down completely? Well, the debt clock is one of them. And strangely enough, when you open the secret window, there you go. Turn on to the new king.
This guy has an obsession with the US debt clock. The debt clock is not run, it's run by some rando, right? It's run by someone who also is a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think this conspiracy theorist knows that. I think he thinks that the usdebtclock.org website is run by the government. It isn't. So he thinks that he's getting secret messages from the debt clock website and their Twitter account, which he thinks are government related, but they're not, because again, the person who runs these accounts are another conspiracy theorist. So basically conspiracy theorists talking with each other, and he doesn't know.
Kingdom. Pay attention to all the details here. Who is like the Lord our God, who dwelleth on high? The X crossing, the planets right here, the sun, the moon.
Conspiracy theorists will do this, by the way. They will assume that because they are seeing other conspiracy theorists repeating the same conspiracy theories they believe in, to them that is further evidence they are right. Which, to be clear, is a heuristic that we all use to one extent or another. We often check ourselves by what you see other people believe. It makes you feel more comfortable with your beliefs if other people around you believe the same thing. Unfortunately, in this case, it reinforces untrue beliefs because they're in echo chambers of other conspiracy theorists that just affirm the same debunked information over and over again to each other.
That would be Jupiter.
Is there a GoFundMe for Chili DeCastro? Yes, he's trying to raise $50,000.
That's Mars. At any rate, one of my subscribers called Long Time Gone found some information, and I'm going to put it out there because if we can decode what this means in the next couple of weeks, because that's all we got, we should. Long Time Gone said, "Hey Richie, I found some things. IXOYE. IXOYE is the Greek acronym that spells out the name Jesus Christ and title, and also is the Greek word for fish. Notice that they spelled it wrong on the debt clock website thing. X is the acronym for Christ. Also, Seymour Durst, a Manhattan real estate developer, created the debt clock in Times Square. The website usdebtclock.org is now run by the Durst organization, who also created, manages, and leases the One World Trade Center. Now, everybody keeps talking about a tsunami or a nuclear weapon going off in New York City. Well, here's the deal.
Don't say if you already saw the title, which I meant to obscure, but you may have seen the title. If you didn't see the title of this video, and only if you are guessing, what do you think he's about to say, chat? I want to know what you think he's about to say. Again, don't say if you already actually know and saw the title. Don't cheat. It won't impress me. I know you want to impress me. Okay, we're very off base. Let's play it.
Think about this. Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Both of them were nuked, correct? And yet both of them are thriving and have been for decades. What happened to all the radiation, etc.? I don't believe in nukes. I just don't believe in nukes whatsoever at all. But I will tell you one thing I believe. I believe just like the Twin Towers were completely wired to blow up, I believe the One World Trade Center is an enormous bomb.
(9/11) out of nowhere on the bingo card. He thinks that the World Trade Center, the building that is the replacement for the previous World Trade Center buildings, he thinks it is some sort of incendiary device. It's not. It's a building.
Straight up. I mean, look at this. Remember when Barack Obama wrote Build Back Better?
Are you talking about Biden's campaign slogan? That was Biden's campaign slogan. Are you guys getting people confused?
We remember, we return, we come back stronger. He wrote that on the beam. This thing completely is a bomb. So expect that to go off straight up. The astrological formations on that image, this is continuing with the email. The astrological formations on the image are Virgo and Leo. I read that Virgo in the Bible is depicted in Revelations 12 with 12 stars, and the star Regulus is at the foot of Leo, which means little king. It represents the birth of Christ. I don't think it's the Christ you talk about. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm sure there are other things, and and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's looked into these things. Jeff. So I'm putting this out here, this information, and see what you can come up with, because it might. I mean, it's obviously a warning. It's obviously a red flag, and it's obviously a clue. But they're telling us something right here, and I can't quite figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I just can't quite figure it out. I ain't that smart. Never claimed to be. But I do see the forest for the trees. You know what
That's not what that saying is.
I'm saying?
You miss the forest for the trees.
So, and also don't forget that the Madrid fault line is right here as well. A lot of things they can do, a lot of technology they have, but I got a funny feeling.
For those who don't know, this is the path of the upcoming eclipse, the total eclipse, laid over the former total eclipse that happened back in whenever it was, 2017. Conspiracy theorists have been very obsessed lately with this idea that the total eclipse that happened in 2017, its path intersects with the one that's about to happen on the 8th.
Riding my mountain bike tonight, trying to get a little exercise, and I rode by a bunch of homeless people, and I had this overwhelming urge to go back and tell them, just wait a couple of weeks, and you'll be the smart ones, because you know how to be homeless. Be ready. Richie from Boston. I'm out. So here we go.
This one's kind of interesting. This is a Hans Wormhat video, but you know what? Actually, I have to pee first before I get into my whole spiel and introduce this. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'm back. Okay, so this next video is Hans Wormhat. I find this interesting because it involves Hans talking about other people's delusions. And I don't know, conspiracy theorists occasionally talk about delusions of other people, but I find it interesting from Hans in particular because of his his own eccentricities, gives an insight into how he sees things, and how maybe he memory holes or sort of ignores things in his own behavior while also judging that of others. So let's go ahead and listen, shall we?
This is a really interesting, strange, and unusual article out of the New York Post. They claim it's weird but true. And this is what it's like to have scary demon face syndrome, a rare condition that makes everyone look satanic, by Ben Cost. And this was published on March 22nd, which is 322, and that is the skull and bones number. So
Numerology on the bingo card.
Much for See No Evil. I'm just going to read through this article, say anything that comes to mind. I don't really know exactly how I feel about this as of yet. I know that people really can get strange. There are some strange and very rare neurological conditions that affect the way that people see faces. Or, you know, you'll hear cases of people who they become convinced that their wife or people in their family are imposters. And
now, of course, the irony here is we know that Hans Wormhat does this himself. Hans believes that most people are secretly transgender. He believes that most people are secretly the opposite sex of the gender that they present as. He believes his own parents are secretly transgender and hiding it from him. He fails to recognize that what he is talking about here, and talking about people who have delusions that their loved ones, that people around them are not who they say, does not just apply to this hypothetical, it applies to what he already believes about the world. He does this, but because for him that's normal, that's just what it is, it's not a delusion to him. To him, his delusions are just reality. He doesn't in any way connect this to what he does, even though it's similar. Robo Twilight, thanks for a 5-stream streak, says, hey Hannah, hey chat. Hello, how's it going?
just like...
Yes, he seriously thinks that, Jade Monkey. He thinks most of his friends from when he was a kid were secretly trans. Transphobia, transvestigation on the bingo card.
Their brain doesn't register them as being the same person, even though their face is still the same. They're like, you're not my wife, you're an imposter, like in her skin or something. I've heard of that type of thing, and the mind does have strange things to do with human faces, or is a huge part of the human mind, and how our brain has to parse all of the visual information, and weird things happen with faces. What is it? Whatever, where you
Pareidolia.
see faces and things that aren't even faces. So
that's a thing everyone does, by the way. That's just a part of human psychology, is detecting faces places. That's why you can see a face in the clouds or something. Our brains are very tuned towards human face detection.
It really is an optical thing for people to have strange things happen with faces. So part of me believes that this could be true, and this article is just giving a fake version of it. I mean, other things that are real conditions is when people lose the ability to recognize people by their faces. That's a real thing. Okay, perceiving malevolent-looking entities might seem like a horror trope. You know, like in the movie They Live with the pair of glasses. However, Tennessee's Victor Sharaw...
Reference to the movie They Live on the bingo card.
Sharaw, like a charade, perhaps?
Or like his last name. That's just his last name. It's not a secret. They're not trying to hide something. It's just his name.
Victor Sharaw sees monsters everywhere due to an ultra-rare condition called demon face syndrome that causes everyone to look...
If this happened to me, it would be super rad.
...like they have an evil smile. Per a groundbreaking study...
Does my aphantasia make me face blind? No, not to my knowledge.
Public.
Like, once something's in front of me, I can recognize it. I just can't, sans actual visual input, recreate these things in my brain.
In The Lancet. you can't imagine how scary it was. So a lot of these words that they're using and phrases makes me think that this particular instance is a hoax of a real-ish phenomenon. People can have conditions that affect the way that they see people. I just don't believe this particular instance, this Victor Charade, Shara, and I'm sure there's some coding going on in this article. I mean, we saw it published on March 22nd, which is very suspicious.
Why? Wait, what's the 22nd? 322. Oh, duh, he already said 322, skull and crossbones number. Sorry.
But talking about things like you can't imagine or things like that also make me think that...
I actually think I have to add that to the list. I don't think that's on my list yet. Give me one sec. This is the first time we've added something to the page of Freemason or Cabal things in a while. We have 33, we don't have 332. Yeah, I get to add it. It's gonna make these unequal, though. That's annoying. Honestly, I'm just gonna put this after 33. I'm gonna put 33/332. They're related enough. I'll remember it's a skull and crossbones thing. More of an addendum than anything.
It's just fabricated. At least this specific instance. But what's the motive behind...
Sorry, 322. No, you're right, 322. I gotta fix that. Shit. $322. There we go. Better. Much better.
This. The timing of this article and just the strangeness. Like, are people going to start seeing masks fall off of reptilian type creatures that are... Like, I don't talk about reptilian stuff.
Reptilians on the bingo card?
But I do believe in, like, serpent seed, like a satanic bloodline, possibly. And I don't know. People do use glamour magic to change the way that people literally see them differently because of the glamour magic. So I'm open to the idea of...
Glamour magic, mythologically, is magic that changes your appearance. So, like, a fey creature making itself look human to enter the human world, that would be glamour magic.
People...
Not real, of course, because magic isn't real, but if we're categorizing fictional concepts...
that look very bizarre in reality, but they've been using some sort of magic or technology to mask the way that they look. I'm open to that, but I don't talk about lizard overlords. But I think that whole thing, the whole idea of reptilians behind the scenes, I think that has to do with serpent seed and...
Tell me more about the serpent seed, Hans.
Like a bloodline of Satan, or a satanic bloodline.
Satanism.
I do believe in those ideas. So here we go. A visual representation of what Shara sees when he looks at people. The number 7 here is very suspicious on all of the images. This is almost, to me, this seems like they're making fun of something that could become very real in the future.
New York Post. The article's from the New York Post. Which is pretty tabloidy, but, like, if you're interested, you can find this. If you type in... I looked this article up earlier because I knew I was gonna watch this video. You can just type in, like, demonic face syndrome. It'll come up.
This just seems like a little too cartoony to me.
I mean, that is it's a cartoon in the sense that it's like a visual alteration they did to try and illustrate what he's seeing. So it is an illustration, it's an edit.
The truck driver reportedly first realized something was awry in 2020. Interesting, because 2020 is like a vision thing. You think of 2020 as people having perfect vision, so he's beginning to have this vision issue in a year that has to do with vision.
Or people have vision issues, and it just happened to be that year. Tea Time Tea says the number 7 just means there are 7 images in the article.
After he noticed a disfigured-looking man in his apartment who turned out to be his roommate. See, and this little factoid doesn't quite make sense because later he goes on and says that he always recognizes the people, they just look distorted. So shouldn't he have recognized that it was his roommate, but it was just distorted? But then people will just...
not necessarily at first, because when it first happened, he was confused and like, what the fuck is happening? after you realize what's happening, you can kind of be like, okay, this looks like this person I know, Frank, let's say, but he's got a demon face. But when you first do it and you don't know what you're looking at, you're just like, what the fuck?
Say, oh, it was the first instance, so he wasn't used to it yet. But I see an inconsistency in the story there. It should have said he noticed his roommate was looking bizarre or looking strange. Then he ventured outside and realized that everyone looked warped. Yeah, that doesn't sound believable to me. My first thought was I woke up and...
That doesn't sound believable to me. This part's great. This is incredible. This line, sorry, I listened to this video earlier. I do listen to these beforehand sometimes. This genuinely made my jaw drop. It made my jaw drop that what he's about to say. Considering Hans and all of the things he has ever said, the thing he's about to say is the most shocking thing I've ever heard him say.
Yeah, that doesn't sound believable to me. My first thought was I woke up in a demon world. Explain, and that also doesn't... Would that really be your first thought? Oh, I've woken up in a demon world.
Hans, who believes chimpanzees are people in fursuits, who thinks toucans are animatronic, who believes the slave trade is a hoax, who thinks World War II was a psyop and the Civil War was fake, the man who thinks the Earth is flat and gravity isn't real, the man who thinks everyone in the world is secretly trans and he's the only cis man alive. This is the thing. You know, who would think that? That's a weird first thought. Hans, fucking look at yourself. Now you're gonna get incredulous about a demon world? You literally believe in demons. I'm good. I'm good.
I don't know. This sounds like fiction to me, this particular instance. But again, what's the agenda here? Or, I don't know. This is a weird article. People were talking about it a lot on 4chan. So maybe some of you...
To be clear, that was for comedic purposes. I'm not actually mad. I just think it's funny.
...have seen this before.
It really is, I really was taken aback when he said that, though. The idea that he is unable or unwilling to contextualize how incredible his own beliefs appear to others, that he sees this as too far and too unbelievable that someone would believe this, is pretty interesting. He doesn't seem to be able to recognize how far his own beliefs are from the norm to be able to say that this is unbelievable, that someone would think this. It's just out there.
He added, I was really freaking out at that point. I was going to have myself committed.
Should you click on Hannah puts her head in her hands in the bingo card? That's fine, yeah.
Another reason I think that this article is a fabrication is they kind of gave this guy the lines. Do you see how the part of his vision, allegedly, is that everybody got these aggressive lines on the cheeks? And he literally has those lines in this picture. So they would love to do that. And he has a weird creepiness to him.
Just mean to this random guy for no reason.
Kind of looks like the creatures that he says that he's looking. And they would love to do that. I say they always like to get meta. He has a wonky eye, too, going on.
God,
one of the
he's
eyes
such
is
a
bigger,
dick.
bugged out than the other one. You can't imagine how scary it was, said Victor Shara, 59, while describing his affliction. The Tennessean suffers from let me try this. Prosometamorphosia. Or PMO, a bizarre affliction that visually distorts faces every time the sufferer looks at a person. Now, I do believe in that. I believe that people can get...
I'll have to take a look later, Peter.
Mental conditions where they don't see people's faces correctly and everybody's face gets whacked out. I believe that. But this one is very particular.
Yeah, there's smile lines. It happens. I'm only 30, and I have big cheeks anyway, especially with the hormones. Holy shit, my cheeks have gotten huge. Both sets, am I right? Anyway, so I have like really aggressive laugh lines. It's fine. Just means you're happy. Just means you had a lot of laughs.
In that it makes them look satanic. SWNS reported. And to go back to the committed thing, this type of thing can happen with transvestigation. People can realize, like, the people on TV look like transgenders, but they'll be gaslit and told that, yeah, they're just seeing things. I've heard of somebody.
This is the thing about gaslighting. I'm glad that the term exists, but also it's given people who have actual mental health disorders a way to try and further disassociate themselves from accusations of mental health issues. Like Hans, anytime anyone tries to help him, is just going to say, you're gaslighting me. Which ain't great, because he clearly needs help.
Just a random comment once that ringed so true, that somebody in a mental institution was going on and on about how they're all transgenders, and they got committed. And, I mean, they could have had other mental problems too, but some people might actually just be seeing reality.
It's interesting that Hans is able to recognize that people with the same belief as him have been labeled as insane or labeled as mentally ill and have been locked away. Except he doesn't see that as a warning flag for himself. He just sees it as unfair. Again, I'm not surprised, but it is interesting to see in real time.
And yeah, it's a jungle out there. Shara described his symptoms of this exceedingly rare condition. Oh wait, I skipped a paragraph. Visions vary depending on the person, specifically regarding eye shape, size, color, and position of facial features, and PMO can last for days, weeks, or even years. Shara described his symptoms of this exceedingly rare condition, of which only 75 cases have been recorded, in the aforementioned study, which was conducted by researchers at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire. We get some more cool images. Through the
Staggering lack of self-awareness should be on the bingo card. That would be all the time. I will give hypocrisy. What is it? Staggering hypocrisy on the bingo card.
Process, we were able to visualize the patient's real-time perception. And this seemed like a bunch of BS, how they described this stuff. Let's see if I got the screen caps of it. Certain people feel like they're seeing monsters everywhere. I mean, to go back to the transvestigation thing, it is a little scary when the glamour magic fades and you see them for what they are. It's a little frightening. He stated that the distortions, severely stretched features of the face with deep grooves on the forehead, cheeks, and chin were present on every person's face he encountered, but he reported no distortions when looking at objects, such as houses or cars. Interesting to specifically mention those two things. I think
what does the doesn't know what a coincidence space mean? It means they claim that something is a coincidence, but that's not a coincidence. It's just two things that happened.
The article is probably full.
It's kind of hard to explain without an example. If one comes up, I'll let you know.
Full of
all the time conspiracy theorists will be like, this thing happened and then this thing happened. Is that just a coincidence? And it's like, that's not even a coincidence. Like, they think it's more than a coincidence, but it's even less than a coincidence. It's just two things that happened that have no relation.
Tidbits of symbolism and jokes and number coding. The patient said that even though faces were distorted, he was still able to recognize who they were. See, so that kind of goes against, he should have recognized, in the very beginning, he should have said that his roommate had distorted features, not, I don't even recognize this person.
He was panicked, Hans. He was panicked.
But people will make...
He was confused.
Excuses. People always make excuses when there's inconsistencies in their stories. They always give the benefit of the doubt to them, to the authority figure, always gets the benefit of the doubt in non-skeptics' minds. The endless supply of giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Reminder that Hans self-describes as a skeptic.
Interestingly, the trucker didn't see the creepy countenances. That's a CC, creepy countenance.
CC here, Chris, Westchester County.
CC 33. when viewing facial representations on screen or paper. And so that also doesn't make sense to me, because the human mind is really good at seeing faces where there aren't even faces. So I don't, why would an image of a face not get the distortions, but people in real life? That seems unbelievable to me.
It's probably pretty interesting to investigate, Hans, actually, how your brain is interpreting 3D versus 2D images and faces and working on them. That would be a thing that's worth exploring, but you're not doing that. You're just trying to find plot holes in reality like the world's shittiest nostalgia critic.
I believe that the distortions,
which is saying a lot because the actual nostalgia critic exists,
would probably happen on paper too, because that's how they're claiming, like, because you could get into it. How could you figure out what they looked like? Okay, I'm just going to get finished up. And unlike some symptoms of schizophrenia or other psychological disorders, the goblin-like distortions weren't accompanied by delusional beliefs about the identities of the people he encountered. Kind of talked about that at the beginning. There are some weird facial recognition conditions where they come along with those weird delusions, like you'll believe that your family members are imposters.
or all secretly trans.
Such as family and friends. Okay. Thankfully, for the first time ever, researchers were able to create photorealistic... See, I think this is all BS. They took a photo of a person's face and then showed it to the patient on a screen while he looked at the real person's face. I'm not buying it. Only 75 cases of PMO. Very rare, but maybe this article's coming out because this sort of thing's going to become more commonplace. I don't know. Like a cutting-edge courtroom sketch artist. In other words, they were putting a demon face to a name. That's a scary sounding sentence. I think I've mostly said everything that I want to say about this. I just wanted to talk about this article because I think it's strange. Strange article. Another picture. These pictures are hilarious, though. They're really goofy.
I mean, yeah. It's a weird brain thing. Okay, that's enough Hans. Let's move on. Let's get a nice Gina cleanse in here.
These were in the sky one night when I went outside, and I took the images with my Nikon camera with the flash on right out my front door.
Doesn't understand how cameras work on the bingo card.
And they're spirits. They're spiritual beings in the realm that you cannot see. And if you look closely, you'll see all the different pretty shapes and stuff like that. And it's just like there's so much more to this world. So much more to this world than what we are led to believe. A whole lot more. And you can look at them on here as I'm flipping through. You can see it. They're beautiful. They are beautiful. And they're a part of this world, even though they're like in the... They're interdimensional. They can come in and out of our dimension.
I find it so interesting that most conspiracy theorists and their delusions are afraid. They're very afraid of these things for the most part. Gina always approaches them with such an interesting sense of wonder. That always interests me, and I wonder what the difference is. Why is she interested in these things in sort of a whimsical way, but so many are like, we're gonna die, everyone's attacking us.
But yet they don't look like us, but it's real. It's real.
Gina's low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit implies I'm trying to mock these people and act like they're pieces of shit. I'm not. Low-hanging fruit implies I'm lolcowing. I'm really not trying to do that.
They will.
I find conspiratorial belief systems really interesting.
Thank you, you see that? It just flew right past me. It did. With it was really pretty. It was. I love it.
Hello everybody, and welcome back for another video. Today we are going to be talking about parasitic mind control and looking at the chemical imbalance myth and how that ties into schizophrenia as well as some other things. But before we do, I'd like to talk about a movie real quickly that actually focuses on parasitic mind control.
Reference to the movie They Live on the bingo card.
You know, what better way to ease us into this topic than talking about the movie called They Live, which is one of these cult classic movies, and I'm guessing most of you have seen it, but it kind of sums up pretty well the way that things seem to be going with our current society. But They Live, I believe, was a 1988 science fiction movie directed by John Carpenter.
Someone else referenced They Live first, yeah.
And
I just repeat it even if it was from before.
And it follows this unnamed.
Have I heard about Bohemian Grove? It came up during work today, and it seems to be a conspiracy theory about a place in California with satanic rituals and the elite. Yes, I am familiar with it. It's a similar belief to sort of the Bilderberg group stuff. A group of elites coming together to do and plan nefarious things.
Drifter, who is played by Roddy Piper, and he discovered...
It's basically a club of rich people who do cringe shit because they're bored and have nothing else to do.
That the ruling class...
It's not satanic.
...are aliens, concealing their appearance and manipulating people to spend money, breed... and accept the status quo with subliminal messages in the mass media. And
let me put it this way, Bohemian Grove is closer to the movie Infinity Pool than it is the movie They Live. I'm happy with that.
It's not until, in the movie, it's not until he finds these sunglasses and he puts them on, and those glasses allow him to see the form of these.
By the way, if you've not seen Brandon Cronenberg's work, he's the son of, yes, that Cronenberg. He's incredible. Please watch Infinity Pool.
These entities, these parasites, and they're very hideous. But they've conscripted all, members of the police and the government officials and agencies, and all these people are working with these parasites, so it's this one massive conspiracy, basically, and he tries to figure out how to... There's a signal that's being sent out, and it's allowing these entities to be cloaked, but he tries to figure out where the signal...
I always like that the aliens are red, white, and blue. It's like both over the top and kind of subtle.
...is coming from and destroy it, so... Great movie. I'm guessing most of you have seen it. But what I kind of wanted to bring up before we get into our discussion today is how these parasites communicate with each other using these watches during the movie. And I
think that's mostly out of convenience because this is before cell phones were like a big thing. They might have had the suitcase phones, but those were not practical, so it was just to show that they're in communication with each other at all times. And the concept of the wristwatch phone was already in pop culture at this time through things like Dick Tracy and Get Smart. No, that was a shoe phone. Other spy media, though, had wristwatch communication. So if I'm John Carpenter and I'm writing this movie and I need them to be in contact, it's easy visually to do this and have them talk into their wrist and the audience understands, oh, they're communicating with other people in their group. It's a story, it's efficiency of narrative, right? It's not trying to tell you anything about the real world, it's trying to use tropes that people already understand to communicate to the audience this person is like an alien evil being, and there are more of them that they are talking to right now. It's the language of cinema. It's not trying to tell you secret messages, it's trying to convey a narrative about the film to you.
Several scenes where they're all talking into their watches, and it's kind of creepy because you can see their true form, but and even the police, some of them are policemen and they're talking into their watches. And there's even a scene where this gentleman, this is in a bank, and he not only does he communicate with the watch, but he
Some of them with gross faces are the ones that work forces.
uses the watch to open up a portal or a gateway that he goes through, and it takes him, I believe their lair is underground. And why I wanted to mention that is just because John Carpenter, he seems like he's one of these directors that they're tapped into what's really going on behind the scenes, just like
John Carpenter is on the record talking about They Live. They Live is explicitly a movie about Reaganomics. It is a movie that is against laissez-faire capitalism and corporatism. It is not your thing. He is literally on camera talking about this.
like Stanley Kubrick with films like 2001 Space Odyssey and Eyes Wide Shut. John Carpenter almost appears to be the same way. So, you know, you just always wonder, are they trying to tell us something?
They're trying to tell you a lot with these movies, but not the things you think.
So, you know, you just always wonder, are they trying to tell...
John Carpenter is one of my favorite directors. I know that's a basic bitch thing to say, but, like, I own most of his movies. He's a really, really great filmmaker who I enjoy, and it makes me so sad that he is so often cited by conspiracy theorists, primarily because of They Live, sometimes because of The Thing, but it's pretty consistent.
Tell us something. But the thing with the watches, what caught my attention with that is when you start looking at these Sumerian depictions of the gods, they're wearing these, what appear to be these, something similar to a wristwatch.
A bracelet.
Even though it probably has some other function, but you know, you've got these deities wearing...
You could literally see on the other wrist the strap for the bracelet that matches. They also have armbands here, and I'm assuming you don't think this is a watch. It's a piece of adornment.
These watches, and here's an up-close shot of one of these watches, and they do seem to like holding that pine cone for some reason, but I think that's supposed to be like the pineal gland. But these it's always the same pattern.
Conspiracy theorists believe that the pineal gland is the seat of psychic power and energy in the human brain. It's not.
Pattern on the watches too. But this gentleman here, he's got two of these watches.
Is this a mental illness thing and making these wildly disparate connections, or simply poor comprehension? It can be both. It depends from person to person, and I'm not a therapist, so I can't, like, tell you. But it can be both. There are certainly people who fall into, like, schizophrenia or schizotypal personalities that have this because of that. But people who are otherwise don't fall into, like, some sort of DSM, like, classification can still become paranoid and delusional. You don't necessarily have to have some sort of diagnosable, like, thing to have delusions about the world, if that makes sense. So it's kind of an individual basis thing. I don't know enough about this person to say.
On each wrist.
Nor am I qualified to make that judgment, even if I did know them well. So.
And here's just one more. But again, these ruling elite with these watches, and it just makes me wonder how there's a similarity and to the movie where these elite, these alien parasitic elite that are talking into communicating with their watches, opening up portals to that are layer underground, and I just thought I'd mention that. I mean, just for
They can develop paranoia and conditions the deeper into the rabbit hole they go. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're like non-disordered and then by doing this they will become like they have some sort of DSM disorder. I'm saying that the origin of delusions can either be in something clinical, like a schizotypal disorder, or it could just be you're not clinically diagnosable with anything, but certain stressors or certain beliefs just end up appealing to you, so you start getting less and less attached to the meta-narrative of reality as we all know it. Does that make sense? Probably not. I really gotta start writing some of this shit down. I'm gonna write a book.
just for interest's sake.
You can, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you can both have the same symptom, but the cause is very different. And some causes are more innate and clinical, and some causes are more contextual and experiential. So you get it.
But that's enough of that for now. So
that's the best ban evasion so far.
Let's actually start looking at.
I don't know. Did we have to ban Femboy Lounge?
To some of the things I want to talk about today. And we'll start it off by talking about chemical imbalance. So let's get started.
Now I'd like to get into this.
I'm glad their bussy is live too. For those, there was a spam message that got posted that said like, my bussy is live on stream, watch and wank now. I know it's a spam message, but I'm glad for that spam bots just absolutely kicking bussy.
Subject of chemical imbalance myth with regards to schizophrenia.
Oh.
Because I came across this interview on a channel called Night Flight, and she interviewed this person by the name of Jerry Marzinski, and he is a mental healthcare practitioner and counselor with 35 years of experience, both.
Okay, I think I'm done with this guy. Let's move on. Hey Roger, how's it going?
Hello, my...
Made you shoot Dr. Pepper out of your nose? Better than what that bussy would have... No. I'm sorry. Nope. Shut the fuck up.
My outstanding friend.
Roger?
Hello, my outstanding friends. It's a sad day in Mudville. I used to have some heroes that I thought were really out looking for understanding and information. And I come to find out that on every single side...
We already had Hannah regrets something on the bingo card. That one was just unnecessary.
That just isn't the case. I figured that with my information, I literally wrote the book on giants and history and mythology and all of that stuff.
You don't get to say you wrote the book when it's self-published. So what?
And
we'll look at the bingo card after this.
Went to the people that have been speaking about this, and I have been shunned. I mean, literally shunned. I didn't realize that Giorgio Tsoukalos and Eric von Däniken had this page. Somebody said they got Ancient Alien page. Why don't you go up there and put your stuff up? Oh, I said, ooh, that's a good idea. So I go up here to Ancient Aliens. I see the ball. So I make a comment about it, and instantly they block me.
Yeah, Mosloth, he's not talking about fiction, though. He's talking about non-fiction attempts at redefining multiple entire schools of science. I guess that's more what I meant, not self-publish it for, like, novels.
The admin has temporarily turned off your comment.
Yes, that rock tree mountain was human on the bingo card.
I can't comment at all on here. This is their page. They're supposed to be ancient aliens, looking for ancient aliens. I have all of this stuff. And look at the things that they do allow. This is okay. I don't care about that. This is Nostradamus, the Antichrist. That's okay. Look at this. They got the little...
I'm quiet. Give me a sec. Turn Roger down. Is that any better?
blobby
Hopefully.
looking things here, and boy,
turn it-
that's fabulous. Everybody's having a good time talking about that.
Is that any better?
And the ball, everybody wanted to talk about that, except I can't. And this kind of stuff. Let me show you what they're showing
Lots of people just posting AI-generated content to the Facebook page.
here. Let me show you what I can present, and they won't allow me to. And this is straight across the board. This is not an exception whatsoever. I was allowed to
Uses AI on the bingo card.
post in this group the other day. Out of the blue, they asked me if I would be a group expert. I said, wow, that's fabulous. I did. I came in, I made a couple of comments, and the stuff hit the fan. And they got a big bump in the number of subscribers. But it was a chaos. But now I just received another notice. They said, you can post anything you want, anytime you want. There's no restrictions. And that's the only time I've ever heard anything like that. Usually it's don't ever come back here again. You're an idiot. You're a tinfoil hat guy. You know, where did you come from?
I mean, it was the Ancient Aliens Facebook page. I don't think their standards are super high.
On and on. But this, I can't believe these guys forced me away. They're showing things like this. Let me show you what I could show. All right, this is...
Now this looks sane. This looks normal. How dare they?
This is what I can put forward. Now, I don't have access to this anymore, but this was sent to me by... I didn't... All right, they're looking for ancient aliens?
No, Astrofox, that doesn't count.
How about this? This, if you understand the way skin peels and it peels off as it decays, you'll understand this is quite real. And I believe this is actually red blood up in here because it was a red-blooded creature. Look at his neck.
Why wouldn't it be green? It looks green.
This is down where his neck was. You see the red blood here?
Feels like if it was green, it would have more like yellow or blue or some other color blood. I don't know.
Here's his throat coming up through. The lips are different than the eyes, obviously. His little nose is here, and that's about as alien as you get. Now,
obviously, this is just a rock, by the way, but, you know, I'm meeting him on his level. He says this is an alien. All right, let's talk about it like it's an alien, even though it's obviously a rock.
This shot is showing straightforward. It looks like he has a collar around some kind of a spacesuit or something.
The spacesuit fossilized? That's not how fossils work.
Because here it is sideways. Hold on. Where did he
If that was how fossils work, then when were all the T-Rex's pants?
go? Here he is. You see it sideways? It looks like he's got some kind of collar around his head, and he's got like 2 ears or something.
Again, he's trying to explain away noise and what he considers the signal. So there are parts of this that he thinks look like an alien head, and the parts down here that don't, he's decided are a collar, even though, again, clothing wouldn't fossilize, even if somehow an alien fossilized. The clothes wouldn't, but he had to explain extra stone away that he doesn't think look like the head or the neck, so he has to say it's a collar. He's fitting things to fit his preconceived notions as opposed to actually looking for evidence that he's wrong.
And that's where that red spot was in the top. Now, it appears that all creatures are red-blooded, because I'm going to show you another one. It looks like a naga. Now, that's pretty alien to me. I don't see why I should be excluded from being able to post there. I think you should go up there and say, Giorgio, Eric, what's going on, man? What's going on with you guys? I thought you were looking for aliens. You were looking for something, not just to dismiss somebody that has evidence. All right, how about this for an alien head? This is real, and I'm gonna show you.
Don't we know not all animals are red-blooded? I think there's some crabs and lobsters that have blue blood. I'm not positive, though.
Why I can make those statements. This is up in Washington State. A friend of mine, Kim.
Yeah, Vulcans have green blood because they have copper in their blood instead of some other thing. Instead of iron, they use copper, I think, in their biology.
Has this head.
Yeah.
Now, this one I have access to. The other alien one, this one here, this is sold, it's gone. This was Heath Bowman sent me these pictures, and he had just sold it. But anyway,
Man, I wish I could find a weird rock that kind of looked like an alien head and then sell it to a crackpot.
this is Kim's, and she still has this. Now, here it is right here. Now, I'm going to show you this in detail, and it has like a cobra crown, and I think it had, in these little brow ridges, I think it had hair. And here's what it looks like. The only thing I can match it close to is this. It has a little crownish looking thing, and then this coming down, but I don't see the ears. Anyway, here we go. Let's look into this deeply, because this is very, very interesting.
Okay, I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick again, sorry. And then we'll take a look at the bingo card. But while I'm peeing, feel free to take a look here and see what's already marked, and then I will add to it once I'm back in just a sec. So behave. Bear back. No, he doesn't know it's carved. He thinks that a lot of statues are real things that have solidified through fossilization. Yeah. Be right back. I've returned. Let's see what is on the bingo card. We have... Reptilians. Satanic. 9/11 out of nowhere. Hannah puts head in hands. Clinton's, Biden's, Obama's. Transphobia, transvestigation. Hans did mention 4chan. So 4chan. This tree, mountain, whatever, was a human. Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident. We had flat Earth, right? We must have at some point. It feels like we've covered a lot. We normally get flat Earth. Maybe we don't. Spurious symbology is evidence. Doesn't understand how cameras work for Gina. Staggering levels of hypocrisy. Reference to the movie They Live. What are you thinking for doesn't understand coincidence? Anything else? For the super soldier guy? I guess I don't understand what you mean in terms of doesn't understand coincidence. Uses AI. uses AI.
For the last 2 weeks, I have been driving up to and past.
I don't think we had racist disbelief of historical achievements now. Usually that's like someone who thinks the pyramids had to have been built by aliens or something. Sorry, I'm trying to reframe this. Better.
Multiple
juggle. I can do that.
5G towers with my tri-field EMF microwave radiation meter, and it's starting to have an effect on me. I've had a hole that has appeared in my face, not a spot, like a giant hole.
That's not a thing. This is unfortunate. This is from the channel that seems to prey on conspiracy theorists. If this is a first for you and you haven't watched me or haven't seen me cover this guy, this is from a channel called Alien Wars, alien.wars on BitChute, and they seem to prey upon paranoid conspiracy theorists and stoke the flames of their paranoia in order to funnel them to his Telegram channel, where he asks for donations on Patreon, as well as, I think, selling or having affiliate links to stuff that sells stuff that's supposed to block radiation. So, like, if you've ever seen Better Call Saul, the character of Chuck believes in sort of a hypochondriac way that electromagnetic radiation is hurting him. There are people who actually have that delusion, sadly, and he is effectively taking advantage of them, stoking their fears, and then selling them a solution to the problem he is helping exacerbate. It's an imagined problem. Now, to be clear, just because this is an imagined problem, I'm not saying it's not a problem. The problem isn't in the electromagnetic radiation. The problem is in the fact that these people have an illness. They have something where they feel distress when they think this thing is happening. It's a mental problem, but it is a problem nonetheless, and this guy is taking advantage of it, and that's really unfortunate. Hydrate. Will do.
My eyes are inflamed and red, much like COVID. I have a general feeling of strangeness. If this doesn't prove to you, and that I would come on here looking like this doesn't prove to you that there is something going on with
it literally just looks like you have allergies and your eyes are red, or you just smoked a joint. You don't look ill.
Towers. I must have visited about 14 of them, and I never got any closer than about 30 meters. But
that's out
there for a
I'm
while.
skipping past her thing and getting to the guy that's using her video to help sell shit.
I was a part of the genocide.
She's a former soap star who was briefly famous in the 90s. I saw her socials say she got so little support now, her shows are going to be shut down.
People have been trying to warn.
Your dad thinks Wi-Fi gives him headaches. Keep an eye on that. I don't want to worry you. It's probably okay. Most people have, like, some eccentricities or beliefs that aren't true. My fear is that sometimes beliefs like that can kind of snowball. So just keep an eye on that. If he starts to bring it up more, if it starts to stop just being the Wi-Fi and it turns into, oh, now cell phones are doing it, look into maybe getting him some help before that becomes a bigger problem. I'm not saying right now. I'm just saying keep an eye, like a mole. Like, if you get a mole, you want to make sure, like, oh, that's roughly symmetrical and it's not changing shape. Is this belief of his stable? Cool. If it starts to kind of mutate, keep an eye.
You, but you don't want to understand. 5G is a weapon system. At first came the 5G, and then people started getting sick. The amount of
Again, no, COVID was in places before 5G was there, so that's not a thing.
radiation that's out there right now is
looks like rosacea. I have rosacea.
Unprecedented. People.
I'm wearing makeup right now, so it's not super easy to see.
Are getting nuked wherever they go. But it's not just the general radiation that's a concern. These cell towers are a Trojan horse, a weapon system in everybody's neighborhoods that are beaming people. Like the Starship Enterprise with invisible beams that you can't see.
It's almost word association at this point. Beaming, like the Starship Enterprise. Beaming on the Starship Enterprise meant teleporting. Like the common pop cultural saying, "Beam me up, Scotty," which was never exactly said on the show. That means teleported, but here he means beaming as in, like, laser beamed.
Part of the social credit score system.
Which doesn't exist in the United States. We have a monetary credit score system.
They're taking people out that they don't like. They're taking people out that have been flagged on social media.
Once again, I gotta point out all the things he's doing. So he's stoking the paranoia of people who are paranoid already. They believe in these conspiracy theories. They're already primed to be paranoid and feel like they are being attacked. They feel othered by society for whatever reason. They feel on social media no one understands them. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're saying awful things, but awful people don't generally know they're awful. Unless they're like a psychopath or a sociopath. People, like, believe the things they believe and generally have a feeling that they care about what other people think, but they get confused when people don't like them or if they're told they're wrong, because everyone thinks the things they believe are true even when they're not. Does that make sense? Basically what I'm trying to say is people in this sort of paranoid conspiratorial state don't understand the minds of others very well. So they don't understand why people get mad at them for saying racist shit or stupid shit. So they just feel like they're being attacked. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's what's happening. It isn't. But they think that. So when he paints this narrative of, oh, they're targeting you, your social credit score, you're on a list somewhere, it pinpoints these anxieties that these people have about being othered within society, about being left behind, about being a problem for most people in society, which they're not used to, or whatever.
And when this system hits you, basically, you don't really understand what's going on. But essentially, you end up looking like these people. You feel like something's after you. You feel like something is trying to get you.
He'll do this too. He'll use footage of people having medical episodes or mental health episodes and play them without context, which gives the impression, especially to someone who is paranoid, oh my god, what's happening to this person must be the thing I'm afraid of, because everything you see is connected in some way. So if you show them footage of something like this, they will automatically fill in that gap and say, this is related to the thing you're talking about, and the thing that's happening to me, the person thinking this.
You can feel the energy weapon attacks. You try to defend yourself. You see these people spinning around, trying to defend themselves from something that they can't see, that they don't.
Again, people have seizures, people have different medical events. Conspiracy theorists have been using these a lot lately, both for videos like this, to try and claim that it's energy weapons, and also people who claim it's vaccine-related for the anti-vax types.
Don't understand. And this is...
Oh my goodness. I forgot to put Boxy up today. Speaking of which, let's get Boxy up. There we go.
The problem. The weapons that they're using today are beyond people's imagination. Look at how this guy is looking at the camera. The CCTV camera.
Again, I'm going to move this. It makes me uncomfortable the way he uses
it's this
footage of other people's, like, medical
CCTV
episodes.
Camera. Even the cameras have been weaponized. The cell towers, the smart meters, the LED lights, the entire smart infrastructure has been weaponized. And it basically stalks you like some kind of predator, like Skynet. And essentially that's exactly what's going on. This is an energy weapon system that is being driven by artificial intelligence. And wherever you go, this system...
Buzzword, 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 buzzword.
...system is basically beaming you, irradiating.
always feels like the same track in the background. You feel like you heard it somewhere else before. I think it's public domain or stock music because, like, I never get pinged for it. Like, sometimes if a video or something uses music in the background that's copyrighted, and when I say sometimes, I mean anytime it's copyrighted, and sometimes when it isn't, and scummy companies try and get it. Anyway, sorry, I digress. This has never gotten flagged for me, so I think that music is stock music.
This is why people have been
Yeah, this is word salad.
feeling off since the rollout of 5G. If you've been experiencing the symptoms, chronic fatigue, pain not associated with an injury, the sudden onset of pain, vertigo, ringing in the ears, heart palpitations, this system is after you. And there's no...
Again, these vague symptoms, you know, especially as you get older, random pains and stuff, maybe occasional ringing in the ears, stuff will happen. And this is just priming people to attribute random aches and pains to this conspiratorial narrative, to this conspiracy, giving power to the person making this video because they're warning you. They knew before it happened.
Nobody you can call. The FCC can't help you. The FBI can't help you. 911 can't help you. The only thing you can do is shield. Public schools are now starting to shield against cell tower radiation because of all of these cancer clusters. That is basically the only solution until people take out these death towers.
Borderline call to action there to go and destroy cell phone towers. Yikes.
It's why we keep talking about this problem, and it's why we keep recommending this book, Transhuman Genocide. It's the ultimate guide to directed energy weapons, artificial intelligence, and EMF shielding.
Boy, I do sure wonder if the person who runs this channel wrote that book or used ChatGPT to quote-unquote write the book and is now selling it to scared, vulnerable conspiracy theorists on the internet for money. Fucking asshole.
This book provides real solutions, recipes to make military-grade shielding so that you can protect yourself at home and in these smart cities. You basically need a safe room if you're going to survive, not only for yourself, but for your pets, for the people that you know. If you don't have a safe room right now, you're basically exposed.
I'm so curious how much he's charging for this on Amazon. Give me a sec. $31 on Amazon! Add to my list. Added to my list. Fucking asshole. Oh my god, there's a part 2 for $18.99. What a fucking asshole.
Just waiting for it.
Shilling on bingo for sure.
And this system can play with you, it can torture you, it can do whatever it wants with you. And you're powerless to do anything about it. It beams you at home, it beams you while you're sleeping. And just being a pureblood or a conservative or a Christian is enough. You see what they're...
Pure blood is an anti-vaxxer term, for those who don't know. Yes, it's very gross and fucking eugenicsy. You are correct.
doing to Donald Trump. You saw what...
Kevin Sorbo is spreading some tin. Worse than usual? Let's see. Oh, he's trying to claim that the bridge collapse was timed. Yikerinos. Disappointed.
What they did to Julian Assange. This has become the standard operating procedure.
Isn't that the same price as the rings I bought? Yeah, just about.
They're going after people they
But those rings will let me live forever, so that's a small price to pay.
don't like, with weapons that you don't understand, and these weapons are way beyond the stuff that you see at Best Buy or on television.
Sorry, you can tell his target demographic. Way crazier than the gadgets you see at the Best Buy.
You can't
Surprised you didn't say Radio Shack.
understand the danger that you find yourself in. It's not your fault. We're all in this situation together. It's like being on the Titanic. And until people rise up and take down these death towers and the smart grid, basically you have to protect yourself. You need a safe room, you need a chest plate, you need body armor to go.
I'm sure he provides all of that.
Go shop.
He has affiliate links for every single one of those on his Telegram page.
Basically.
Methinks. I've seen his Telegram. It mostly points to his Patreon and stuff. I don't know if he has other Amazon affiliate links or anything. Oh, a color paperback copy on Amazon. One sec. Oh, the color copy is $44. Bougie. Hold on. Let me look at his Patreon real quick. $8. Oh, I guess you can buy the PDF copy without joining his Patreon. It's just a flat $8. Well, that's interesting. Maybe I'll have to get that sometime.
And this may not sound super appealing to most people, but it's a lot better than getting the heart attack, getting the stroke, being targeted by this system. Don't do it like the sheeple.
This guy sucks so bad. Sheeple on the bingo card.
And end up like these people. Protect yourselves while you still can. Check out this book, Transhuman Genocide. You can find it on Amazon. Read a free preview. It's also available on Patreon as a PDF book. Do yourself a favor and check this thing out, because if you don't understand the weapons that are out there, you're basically waiting for climate change. You're waiting to be a victim of this system.
Why are you bringing up climate change now? What?
And they're even going after kids.
I know what he means. Weather control on the bingo card. When he says climate change, he doesn't mean actual climate change. He means the conspiracy theorist HARP weather control version. That's something that's frustrating about conspiracy theories, is you basically have to learn a whole other language, but that language shares the same words as the language you already know, but all the words have slightly or very different definitions. So you gotta figure out which version of the word they're using at any given instance.
Same kind of scenario. These people aren't just dropping dead like a heart attack. These people are spinning around. They can see something. They can feel something.
Oh my god, this asshole. Okay. There's 2 minutes left in this one, but I gotta tap out. That guy pisses me off. He's such a fucking asshole. Oh, here's the Deems guy. This is the guy who made that device with the magnets in it. It's like a plumbing pipe with some magnets inside, and he claimed it's a healing device. Here's an interview he did.
Hey all, it's Chris again.
What a lame bookshelf. All those goddamn shelves and not a single Blu-ray? The hell? That doesn't even make sense. Sorry, I'm adjusting the picture. One sec. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are in complete control. From the deepest inner mind to the outer limits.
And today I've got a really special person here that I think many of you will already know. It's my friend, Tony Rodriguez. How are you, Tony?
Hey, Chris, I'm really good, man. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, great. Thanks for coming on and sharing your experience with the Deems, and helping people understand how you found to use it personally, and because it really helps everybody to learn, and we're all learning together on this device. So thank you.
Thanks. Well, I have a good testimony about it. And it's when you get hurt or whatever, an injury is always out of something unfortunate. And it was like after Orlando, I decided I had to have one, and got it in the mail. Literally, I think the day of, I hurt my hand really bad and probably broke it. So I was hitting something, and I came down like this, and it was this area right here. Boom. And it probably got a
Thank you, Mr. Blast. For those who don't know, Mr. Blast is building me one of these devices, because this guy built one. By the way, I should point out, his design has magnets all up the inside. You don't have to. I don't care. It just needs to look the same. But on the inside, his has a bunch of magnets. It's just nuts.
fracture. But
I'm excited to have that prop. Thank you, Mr. Blast.
I'm the old school. You know, my mom was like, look, if it's doesn't, if just go to sleep. And if it still hurts in the morning, we may or may not go to the doctor. And that's kind of how I do business. And so if it,
That's not good.
if I get hurt,
I understand in the United States, healthcare is an issue. I know. I don't have health insurance right now, so I get it. But like, that's also not a good policy, probably generally.
I gotta wait a day or so to see if it's gonna shake out. And it didn't. It still hurt badly. And the Deems came in the mail that day. It was absolutely great timing. And immediately, so it was like a light fracture, like on a scale of 1 to 10, the pain was like a constant 6. You know, and I didn't use my hand. I couldn't really articulate my fingers and do this. And so I held the Deems to it. First thing I did, with the red dots towards it on top. And it immediately soothed the pain. So I had a dull pain, and it went from a 6 down to like a 3 worth of.
The placebo effect is a hell of a drug, or a hell of a not a drug.
Dull pain. You know, I went, whoa. Because, you know, I was supporting, and so many people gave their testimony. So I really just wanted the Deems because it's obviously amazing, but I wasn't sure what I was going to use it for. You know, it's not like I had something in mind, but I immediately had the.
Oh, I should point out, he is selling these for, let me pull up his website real quick. He has 2 different versions of this for sale, and the standard one, this is just the bar, I believe, it doesn't have the magnet, is $700. The gold edition is $1,200. The rings that go on them are $25, and the crystal attachments are $275 per set. So that's how much he's selling pipes with magnets in them for, in case you're curious.
Purpose and the need the day of. And I held it on there, and the pain immediately soothed and went away. And what I found was that when I held it like this, I carried it around with me, and that was like a steady, it was like taking a painkiller. And
about $3 worth of plumbing pipes. I mean, there's magnets in there too. How do you think he affords such a nice office with lovely bookshelves behind him?
So that's what I kept it.
Scamming rubes.
And I ended up sleeping on top of it. So I sleep on my stomach, and I slept like that. And when I woke up in the morning, I had like an overall, like a disorientation, like a feeling. And I thought, oh, because this was the next day, like I got it out of the box and then ended up sleeping with the thing that night in my, you know, and I thought, man, I should have read the instructions because I was a little bit
gold-plated,
disoriented because there was an effect. And I remember specifically waking up times in the night where I was holding it like toward, you know, somewhere towards me. And I went, whoa, that's not right. And I would move it away from me under my pillow and kind of sleep on it like that. And so it wasn't, and I don't want to say it had a bad effect, but it was something that I would want to temper. Like that was the only time that I slept.
The guy with the bookshelf is selling the pipe. This guy's a customer.
With it, I used it sparingly, or at least I used it purposely. Like I'd set my hand and put it there and give it the Deems and not do anything else. You know, after that, like I treated it with a lot more respect because I woke up the next day like very disoriented, like kind of dizzy from it. So I don't know what effect it had on me or what, you know, what else was going on, but it definitely was very, very noticeable. It wasn't subtle. And
no, it's
so
not
I just
a
kept
subtle
it.
thing.
And I want to say the next 10 or 15 days, I would treat it and the hand got better immediately. And what happened was that day it got better. And then I went to work. I went to my 9 to 5 and I heard
or
it.
He's an actual shill. He could be.
Again.
He was all. There are actual customers of this though. I know the creator of this thing went on the Super Soldier Talk program, so there are real customers.
By using it because it got strong. And whoa, and I would give it the Deems again at night.
Oh, this is completely random and about a different topic I cover, but GameStop's earnings came out and they came in below predictions. So that's fun.
And then it got better, and I kind of...
They made, I believe, over the whole year, on $2 billion in revenue, they made a $6 million profit, which is not good for that much revenue. And their revenue's down year over year. So that's fun.
I kind of got into my own schedule. I never really bandaged it. I did.
What were Bed Bath & Beyond's earnings? I wouldn't know how to look. I'd have to look into the Phantom Zone or like the Ghost Dimension to see that. I don't know how to look at bankrupt former companies' results.
I did buy a wrist, those wrist things, like for the sprain. When you sprain your wrist, they got them at the drugstore. Yeah. I got one of those and I wore it maybe one day, and the rest of the time I just put the Deems on it, and it helped the swelling. It helped it across the board, because I went a couple days without the Deems.
Brick and mortar's dead for games, pretty much. Like, people, you know how obsessive I am about physical media. Look at the movies I own. Look at all the movies I own. I don't buy physical games generally. I download. I have a fucking terabyte micro SD card in my Nintendo Switch. A terabyte. For Switch games. It's almost full.
I was curious and kind of working it out too. I remember I kind of immediately contacted you and said, how do I do this? And you said, just, you'll know the effect when it gets there. And so I kind of worked it out, and it was about 10 or 15 days I got it back. It still isn't, like this knuckle, I think, caught hell from what happened, but
Bravo Needs Bacon says, long live DVDs, Blu-rays, and physical games. I love physical media, and to be clear, even though I'm not big on physical gaming, I respect the hell out of the physical gaming collection community. There used to be, at the Best Buy I used to go to before they stopped selling physical movies, there was a guy there I ran into a couple times who worked there, and we talked about stuff because I was there all the time looking at movies, and he, we got talking one time, and he was like, oh yeah, I collect stuff too, and he showed me his collection room on his phone, and he had a whole, like, gaming room with as much, like, as I have movies, both upstairs and downstairs. He had that many video games, all the way from, like, Atari to modern games. It was incredible. He was cool. I hope his collection is doing great.
I never went to the doctor, never splinted it, and it's better. So the Deems was definitely, I was using it as a painkiller when I was using, and I tried a few different things with it. I still use it like for when I feel a little off, like if I get certain areas or sprain my back or something, like I'll hold it over there for a while. I give it 10 or 15 minutes all the time. So it's a very amazing thing and I always joke with you that my batteries are dead. I need new batteries for it, but it doesn't need batteries.
It has no batteries, so it's purely magnetic, obviously. But yeah, it was really amazing to me because you don't have any crystals at all. I didn't send.
Well, I do.
Oh, you do? Did you?
Oh, you mean the Deems crystals?
The ones I sent. The use of Vogel, yeah.
Of my energy.
Are you allowed to mix non-Deems crystals with your Deems magnet rod?
Any of my injury. Excuse me.
Captain Squid says, the problem with physical games these days, imagine you want to play Cyberpunk 2077 in a couple decades, so you pop the disc in and now you're stuck on 1.0. Yeah, that's an issue. Retro games, because it was before they were doing a lot of updates and stuff, you can collect those. Great. Newer ones pretty much rely on the updates, so I don't know.
All my quartz crystals, I use different stuff. That's different.
Right.
Different animal to me. But no, none of the attachments. You mean for the front of it? No.
Right. Yeah. Did you use any of them with the device at all, or did you?
One of the reasons emulation, I think, is really important. Sucks that Nintendo's so shitty about it. I do understand for games they're currently selling why they get upset, but like retro games and stuff, come on, like preserve media. It's important.
Use the device.
Just the device. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what's really especially good for the pain management and helping that, because you don't really need a crystal or any sort of
Okay. Fuck off, Deems guy.
Even more. It's going over 7 cities in Nineveh. It's going over the 7 cities in Salem. You can't make this stuff up. You got the Homeland Security with reports coming. You have the FBI director meeting with the sheriffs throughout the country saying a big 9/11 event is imminent. And everything's pointing towards this event where they're shutting schools down in Ohio, where our old public school system is in Medina County, are being shut down for this event, telling you to have cash, have batteries, all this water.
Again, this is because we talked about this. Conspiracy theorists are freaking out because on the date of the eclipse, people are being told, have fuel, have water, have food, etc. And they're like, what? It's just an eclipse. What do they think's going to happen? They think that areas of the country that are in path of the eclipse are going to be swarmed with tourists there gawking at the thing, at the eclipse. I'll be one of them. I'm going to Ohio, which I normally would never do as a rule, but eclipse is worth it. So it's not about an event happening as much as a bunch of people showing up to small towns and communities to see this event and fucking up their local infrastructure.
Just be proactive, but remember, it's Goshen. God has it, but we have to be smart. We have to check our six and be prepared. That's one thing. God never said not to be prepared. He's got it, but you also have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. David was prepared when he took on Goliath. He had the stones, and he'd practice every day as a boy in the fields of Boaz in Bethlehem to be able to take that shot. And when he took the shot, God assured him the shot was going to happen. All right, let's get into the news. All right, my friend Matt Couch was able to come on with us today. You'll see this on Monday. Jared from our Ohio office is famous. Look at him. He's on Twitter. That was a capture of Matt Couch, our pre-tape today. That's about Seth Rich. That is a show that you're going to want to see. All right, let's continue. This is another 3 illegals arrested for abducting, sexually assaulting.
Jesus Christ. All right, we got over the conspiracy part. Now he's just on the chud part. General Flynn, Black Swan event will cancel 2024 election, 10 times worse than 9/11, so at least 9,110, which isn't good.
ever had.
And this.
Oh, this is one of the
High-stakes
conspiracy
game
videos
of-
I remember. That's very vague.
Operations, or even in the,
It's just a bunch of disparate clips edited together. Hate that kind of conspiracy. Oh, here's Dave Murphy on a show talking about Flat Earth.
Put an end to this topic once and for all, turn the Hubble round and show us Earth in real time, zooming in onto a place so that we can see what's happening at that place, and we know that there is something up there looking down on us from space. But they will not do it. They can't do it. It doesn't exist.
The Hubble telescope is a telescope. It's not designed to take pictures of the Earth that's very close to it, relatively speaking, on cosmic scales.
Actually doesn't exist. It's all fraud. It's all fake. Pretty much everything NASA puts out is fraudulent.
It would be like having a telescope on Earth and then like asking me to look at like a basketball right up against the lens. Like, you're not gonna see shit. It's not what it's designed for.
It has actually really gone all the way across Antarctica. Yeah. Now,
this is also just a lie. People have been across Antarctica. The entirety of Antarctica has been crossed multiple times. In fact, in the last decade, someone did it famously just on a dog sled as like a challenge. So it's been done. People have flown across it. It's ice. Captain Squid says, has this man never had the curiosity to put his hand in front of binoculars? Apparently not.
there are millionaires out there who could, assemble the resources to make an expedition and completely, go across and chart Antarctica and make a name for themselves, being the first person to do that.
I mean, I don't mean to be a dick, but like, in this day and age, is there much of a reason to do that? Like, I understand if we were going to go try and colonize Antarctica, that on the ground, like, surveying would be necessary, but we're not doing that. Like, there are scientific bases there and stuff, But if you really needed any topographical information about Antarctica, a satellite would probably be good enough for whatever purposes you have. Like, it's an icy wasteland. Like, you will die if you go unprepared. Like, why do you, what are you doing? What do you want to do? I'm confused. Did I see this? Speaking of NASA. Let's see how this works. NASA releases its first official scientifically focused tabletop role-playing adventure. Yeah, people sent this a few weeks ago when it released. Fun. Cool outreach thing.
But nobody ever does. Now, you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight.
I hate that they still say this one. This is an older video, but I still see flat earthers do this. This has been debunked about 1,000 times. Moonlight isn't cold. That's not how thermodynamics works. You are seeing and measuring radiative cooling and don't understand that.
And you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade, the opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light, and that light is the opposite from the sun. Now, that tells you that it's not reflecting the sun's light.
Shaded areas at night can be warmer than areas that are not shaded because the shaded areas have a covering that is keeping heat in, because at nighttime heat tends to dissipate upwards because of thermodynamics. But if there's like a tree or something above it, which also often provides shade, the tree or whatever is above it prevents the heat from as easily radiating upwards into the atmosphere, so the area under the shade is actually warmer than the area out in the open that might have sunlight on it, or rather moonlight. The moonlight isn't cooling it, it's that that area is unshaded and therefore is not affected by radiative cooling.
Producing its own, and its light is different from the sun's. So, you know, the scientific community have not told us this.
I mean, what you're saying isn't true. We know what is causing this, and it has been explained to you.
Yeah, because they won't tell us this because it destroys this idea that the sun is, you know, is lighting up the moon. The other thing that's about the spinning Earth is looking at the stars. Now, directly above the axis of spin is the pole star, Polaris, okay, directly over the North Pole. And we're told that the reason that all the stars spin around the North Star is because the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, seems to make sense because if you put a long exposure camera pointing at the North Star, you'll see the stars will make perfect circles around, perfect star trails. The only problem is the Earth is also orbiting the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. Okay, the sun is moving, dragging the Earth and all the planets up that way.
Polaris and the other stars are very far away, is the answer to the long question he's asking.
Or that way, at 600,000 miles an hour. So why do we see perfect circles? You know, because
they're very far away. So our movement around the sun and the sun's movement around the center of the Milky Way galaxy is not enough to change the perspective because, again, those things are very, 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 very far away.
It's the slowest.
Chromatic Cuttlefish, thanks for tier 2 with 22 months, says, allegedly Dave, being northern hemisphere centric again. Funny thing is, if you do the same thing in the southern hemisphere, the star trails go the other way.
Speed that's slowest motion in that mix, and yet the Earth is moving 67 times faster that way and 600 times faster that way. So you should see the stars do all sorts of strange motions, but you don't.
Not at the distance that they are.
You only see them make these perfect circles. That tells me that it's the stars.
Does he understand that the stars we see are also in the Milky Way galaxy?
Are moving, not the Earth.
Like with our naked eye, at least?
If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down every 5 minutes. He should be dipping the nose down to stay.
Same old talking points. Okay, I'm sorry. I've had to urinate a lot today. I'm gonna go pee again, and then we'll come back and watch this fear-mongering video about why you should take your family and go live in the middle of nowhere, because society's scary. It's so funny to me that that intro was trying to denote some sort of like, this channel is like, we're off the grid and we're surviving on our own. But one of the clips was buying shit at Costco. We don't need civilization. All we need is Costco. Does she know? Does she know Costco's a part of civilization? Is it secret? Is it safe? I don't know why that came into my head.
Hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Patera. Hey, I want to let you know something. Guess what? Not chicken squat.
Oh no, you know her? Oh no! That's a shame.
Don't put it on
Anonymous, thanks for gifting us up.
bread needed hot. But, that's what my mother always used to say to me. But, we're in East Tennessee. Welcome to East Tennessee. Welcome to the beautiful valley and mountains of East Tennessee. Welcome to my home. I was born and raised here. I was born at the University of Tennessee Hospital. So, Tennessee. Go Vols. Rocky Top, you'll always be. Home sweet home to me. Okay? Good old Rocky Top. Rocky Top, Tennessee. So you guys need to be coming to
I can't make fun of the constant singing. I do that shit.
Dogwood more or something. And understand.
Randomly singing songs. This is a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
And get your taste of real Appalachia at Dollywood. And understand that us folks here, we wear a lot of orange. And we wear the University of Tennessee stuff because
You can't wear orange in front of an audience that might be conspiracy theorists. They think orange is a sign of the cabal.
we're Tennessee people.
She went off the Trump deep end. Yeah, that's a shame.
Okay? You got
She used to be reasonable. 2016 happened.
it. Get
That's
it?
a
Got
shame.
It? Good. Does that clarify that? All right, because some people can't handle a joke when, I have people that try to be. Now, this lady yesterday wasn't. Miss Linda, I don't think she was. She asked me what did the T on my hat, on my beanie mean. But I have to admit to you that I get people that can be quite ugly because they want to assume that means the big orange man, Donald Trump. So I ran with that and joked about it.
Wait, there are people who think that her orange T stands for Trump? Okay, I don't think that's true, but okay.
And
That's a weird association even I wouldn't make, and I'm not a Trump person. Like, I see someone in a MAGA hat, and I'm like, I need to avoid them. What?
I don't think Miss Linda has responded, so thank you, Miss Linda. You understood. I was joking back with you with my emojis and everything. But there was one other gal or guy, Drano, Dino, Bino, I don't know what your name is. It's obviously not a real name. Didn't like it. So I'm sorry. We joke around here. We still get invited to parties every now and then. So, I mean, you can't even joke anymore, guys. I mean, let me tell you this, and let's have a moment here. So the other day I got on, not Pinterest. I don't do Pinterest. But I was on Instagram, and even if you say, I'm just going to post something cute or pretty or really just simple today, people will have something ugly to say about it, or they will fight about it. I can post a tree, and I get lectured or ugly comments about Bradford pears. Just say it's a pretty picture. Okay? I can post a picture of a puppy that I'm going to get, and I get somebody somewhere, not all of you, you may not, I'm not saying it's you, but somebody will have something silly to say about, or question or allude to that I don't know how to raise a Great Pyrenees when I've already got 3 of them. You know, you can post a picture of a meme or a meme that's trying to encourage moms that if they're having a bad day or if their kitchen's dirty, that doesn't mean you're a bad mom. Good moms have sticky floors. Oh no. I had some women go off about my floor is never dirty and I'm like, this isn't a contest. This isn't a contest.
This is meandering even by conspiracy standards, but I'm kind of here for it.
So this
is like Southern mom core. It's like, listen to a Southern woman inanely talk you to sleep about her personal social media problems.
That's what I'm saying. Just understand that you live in a world that it wants to fight and that is offended by anything that you do now. I could post a picture of my first blooming tulip right now in my yard. Beautiful red tulip. I could post a picture of it and somebody would have something ugly to say about it. And, you know, it is amazing to me. So you go ahead and talk about Donald Trump and politics and whatever you want to, because you just cannot escape the reprobate mind of people.
Stone Corbell says the Bradford pear thing is probably because several state governments in the South are paying people to remove them from their property because they're an invasive species that can cross-pollinate with native trees and mess up their fruit. I'm sure there are anti-government people who are like, how dare you tell me what trees I can have?
You just cannot escape people's minds. And I think this is very, very telling in the times that we're living in right now. And I really want to be kind and forgiving and saying people are stressed out. Well, obviously so.
H. Baird with 39 months says, I'll have you know my mind is very probated. Thank you.
But here's the real concerning issue is that...
Thanks, Internet! Thank you for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. I'm Hannah. I'm a variety streamer. This is Tinfoil Tuesday. I am very interested in the psychology and construction of conspiracy theories and conspiratorial mentalities. So we have some fun on Tuesdays and other days of the week sometimes, where we look at conspiracy theories, why people believe them, what they believe, and just have a good time. It's fun. We play bingo, we hang out, we joke. It is what it is. So give me a follow. That's not a request. That's actually a demand. You will follow me. Thank you. While we're on top of that, go follow Thanks Internet. Thanks Internet is great. There is a link in chat. I hope your stream went well. You know, I almost feel like for the raid, I gotta give people a different video. We gotta find something good. I was half-assing it today for the rest of you, but I decided that right now, since we have new viewers, let's bring out some good stuff. Let's look at some Hans. Another Hans. Why billionaires build bunkers, not rockets. Hans Wormhat is a regular conspiracy theorist we see on this channel. He is of the belief that chimpanzees aren't real, bonobos aren't real, penguins aren't real, koalas aren't real, the earth is flat, space is fake, and he thinks everyone is secretly trans except him and his wife. Everything I just said he really believes. I'm not making it up for the bit. So let's listen to him, shall we?
On my recent ramble video about outer space being fake and gay, somebody left a really cool comment. There's a lot of smart people in the comment section. A lot of times on YouTube truther channels, the content will be like, okay, kind of. But the comments will very often be full of really, really smart people. So, and you see this in the wild too. It's surprising how many places you'll see people talking about transvestigation on a video that has...
Transvestigation, for those who don't know. I'm trans, by the way. This is an LGBT safe space, so welcome, Raiders. You know, all those rules apply. Transvestigation is a conspiratorial belief that there are a bunch of secret trans people in the world, and that it's usually celebrities or people in power. So if you've heard, for instance, conspiracy theories or right-wing people try and claim that Michelle Obama is trans, that's transvestigation. It's generally people who are paranoid and upset about trans people like myself existing and deciding, they're everywhere, they're surrounding me. So that's pretty common in conspiracy circles, and Hans is very big on it. Hans is to the point that he thinks his parents are secretly trans and never told him. That's the level of paranoia we're talking about. Hans also is married, has kids, and homeschools.
As a particularly transpicious individual.
Transpicious? Ooh. That's a new hateful word I've not heard before. Fun.
And so that gives me hope, because especially when you make content, it feels like there's a lack of content these days, at least on this platform, and it can be a bit discouraging, but you know, not everybody has to make videos, and there's clearly a lot of people out there that know all sorts of truths, and they think for themselves, and they have their own ideas, and they're willing to share it. And who knows, a lot of these people, I know for a fact, they like to talk about this type of stuff with like people in their lives, or a cashier at a
yes, I should point that out too. He does think that a lot of publicly trans people are secretly cis. So like, if you think of any pretty much famous trans person, he thinks the opposite. Whatever your publicly professed gender is, he thinks it's the opposite, basically. If you're cis, he thinks you're trans. If you're openly trans, he thinks you're cis. Yeah.
Store or something, and like, that's not particularly the way that I do things. If you just ran into me in...
Unironically, I'm pretty sure he has transvestigated Arnold Schwarzenegger before.
In public, I don't...
He's also transvestigated Adolf Hitler.
I don't know that you would...
Yeah, it's... Yeah.
Know that I'm a conspiracy.
What if we're intersex? He actually kind of has a misunderstanding and considers all of these things one thing. So when he says trans, or he uses this term, quote-unquote, inverts, offensive, he doesn't really see a difference. So to him, the terms trans, intersex, they're the same thing. Of course, they're not, but he considers them the same thing. He thinks they're related. It's a whole thing. He's a very, very confused person.
Theorist or anything like that. So different people have different ways that they talk about the truth, and
gotta have a convoluted thought process to believe that. Oh yeah, that's one of the things I find so interesting about conspiracy theories, is the narrative loops you have to like wrap yourself in to try and justify the things you believe. It's incredibly interesting.
Share their testimony. So I appreciate the comments a lot. A lot of you guys are super smart. You're not any lesser if you don't run a channel or something.
Thank you,
it
people
doesn't
who have
make you an
followed from the
authority
raid,
at
by
all.
the way.
Everybody should just freely share their thoughts. Okay, so dude told me the rich have bunkers. I'm like, if we can leave Earth like they say, why would they need a bunker? And this is...
I know it's probably superfluous to explain why this doesn't make sense, but I like to do it anyway. Just in case any conspiracy theorists are watching, I think it's fair to try and explain even things that most people would probably immediately understand why. because on Earth there is oxygen and resources, and in space there is not. There are not breathable atmospheres anywhere close. You will die. Even if you launched a rocket into space, you don't really have anywhere to go except for Earth. So it makes a lot more sense in some sort of doomsday scenario to try and dig a hole and build a building in it and stock it up with as many non-perishable supplies as possible and try and ride it out like Brendan Fraser and Blast from the Past, you know? So it's pretty simple. Skifazoa with 100 bits. By the way, I also want to point out for the Raiders, you're all from Thanks Internet, so I'm sure you're all, like, cool and, like, nice people. But I always say this, too. This channel, there are a lot of people who cover conspiracy theorists and debunk them that I think turn it into an exercise in milking lol cows. I don't want to do that. So while we might poke fun at some of the specifics of the actual beliefs that people have, or the out there things they say, I want to be clear that I have deep, like, empathy for the people that we cover on this stream. I have lines for people I won't cover because I think they're too unwell. This comes out of a place of sympathy and empathy. Having delusions is something that anyone can hypothetically suffer from, you know? It's a really sad thing. So, while we do have fun and discuss the mechanics of this stuff, I want to be clear, I'm not interested in, like, demonizing people who might have illnesses or anything. The only time I'll actually, like, be really mean or, like, angry is when it's a grifter who's taking advantage of vulnerable people, which happens from time to time.
Such a amazing
Skifazoa, thanks for the 100 bits. I don't remember if I said that, but thank you.
thought. I love...
Yes. We don't make fun of people's appearances or anything they don't, like, control. I'm not here to make fun of people. Maybe ideas sometimes if it's, you know, but...
Stuff like this, it just makes so much sense to me. That, yeah, why would the rich people be building bunkers if outer space was real, and if NASA can get to outer space in the 60s, and...
Yeah, but we didn't live there. We didn't, like, go there and stay.
You know, they kind of make it spooky sometimes when they make a movie about it or whatever. But the ISS has allegedly been up there for a long time, right? I don't think I've ever heard of people dying on the ISS, or they never really seem to run into problems.
They do. They've had holes a few times that they've had to plug up. There have been people who've had issues when they're doing EVAs where they have a leak in their water system that pooled around their face because in microgravity, water is going to pool around a close surface because you're in microgravity and matter attracts matter. So it, like, pooled around their face so they couldn't get it off. So problems do happen, and actually the International Space Station is reaching the end of its life, and sometime in the next 5 to 10 years, I think they have a plan to deorbit it, remove some sections, and deorbit them one by one, which basically means crashing them into the ocean. I'm not sure exactly when, though.
So why are billionaires...
You think some people have the mentality that if they didn't hear about it, it never happened? Oh, that's huge for conspiracy theorists. I'm glad you brought that up, actually. That's a really good point. Conspiracy theorists that we cover, Hans in particular, who is the video we're watching right now, will regularly act as though if they didn't know something, no one knew it. Or if they just heard about something, it manifested into existence like that day. It's a borderline solipsistic worldview. It's this belief that, like, no one can know things that they don't already know. It's interesting, and I don't think they realize they're doing it. It's just a very myopic worldview and an overconfidence.
Not investing in this stuff. And I guess Elon Musk is...
Again, he thinks everyone is secretly trans, so he'll just, like, say people's names, but different gender.
I mean, I think that he's obviously a fake character, just playing a character on the world stage. But that is like the first private individual.
True, Steven J. Neptune Man. We do the opposite of making fun of people's looks. Cece, who is a flat earther that we cover, he has luscious locks that I'm pretty jealous of.
Trying to go into space, is that right? And so maybe they're just now starting to touch on this idea of, oh, rich people can go into space. But I mean, Ellen is such a joke with the, you can tell it's real by how fake it looks, and the sending the alleged car to outer space, just jumped the shark with that one for sure. But this is a brilliant question. Why haven't the rich people been going to space? Some of them talk about shooting their...
Again, it does Hans not... It comes up against where... It's hard sometimes to imagine Hans's map of the world, because I don't know where his thinking stops, and what he thinks is fake, and how he thinks we think the world works. So when he says, why aren't rich people going into space, does he understand that as far as we are concerned, Earth is the only hospitable place in the universe? Like, I'm sure maybe there's someone somewhere out there very far away that hypothetically has a breathable atmosphere, but we're not there. We're not near there. We cannot get there. Like, as far as we know, this is the only place in the universe that we have the capability of being at that is hospitable to life, and it's not even most of the planet. It's specific locations on the planet. But he thinks you're gonna go off into space and, like, start a settlement? Does he have a Genesis device, like from Star Trek 2? I don't... What does he think they're gonna do? They don't have a Gek? Those are my pop culture references for the thing I'm trying to say.
Their ashes up there. That's just a hoax. And
is there any room for a possible reward stream where you're just super mean, like to people who deserve it? Grifters, Mike Pillow, Ben Shapiro, Clandis Owens, and the like? I don't know how comfortable I'd feel about that. I don't mind peppering it in from time to time with, like, grifters, but that's, like, emotionally hurtful to me. Like, it would bum me out. It would just make me... It would just ruin my day. I get it, though. I get it's fun to be mad, but I don't know. Everyone's mad. Everyone's mad all the time. And, you know, people have a right to be mad about things that suck, but it's just draining. DM Trey says, I've said this before, but for the Raiders, in some cases, people fall into conspiracy theories purely due to a misunderstanding of a given topic. In some cases, this is simply an organic lack of subject comprehension, misinterpreting terms, or not understanding definitions in a given context. Even if they only look into legitimate sources of information, these factors compound on top of each other, resulting in the more they research given a subject, the further down the rabbit hole they fall. True. DM Trey is great. DM Trey also looks into this conspiracy stuff like I do.
Here's a big thing. If they would want to be taking rich people's money. There's so many things out there that are just to siphon money away from rich people with no sense.
Peeplord says, never mind, we must protect our lizard queen. Well, thank you.
You know, like cryogenically freeze yourself.
Cryogenics, this is actually interesting. I watched a thing about this the other day from Atrocity Guide, a good channel. Atrocity Guide did a video talking about different immortality movements throughout the decades, including cryogenic freezing. Cryogenic freezing's, pardon, bullshit? Cryogenic freezing is like bullshit. You're not coming back if you get cryogenically frozen. Just putting it out there.
And, you know, in the future will bring you back to life. That's the exact type of stuff where...
Oh, and also, it's not full of, like, billionaires. Billionaires aren't the ones that are getting themselves frozen. It costs, like, $20,000 to $60,000 or something to freeze yourself when you die. And, like, people take out loans and shit for that. Or people will save to do that. Like... The people who do that aren't millionaires and billionaires. A lot of it's people who are conspiracy theorists or people who are really, really, really afraid of dying, which is a pretty common fear, and put a bunch of money that they can't afford into it because they're desperate. Knew a guy in college who was convinced he would never die because of cryogenic freezing. Yeah, it makes me sad because, like, I get that. Like, no one wants, I mean, most people don't want to die, right? If things are going well and you aren't in chronic pain or suffering, you know, most people, if things aren't distressing, you know, want to keep on going for the most part. So I understand why you would cling on to something that gives you the hope that you won't die, but I don't think that's very healthy to live in denial, but that's how I feel about it. So you're saying Elon Musk will definitely be doing it? I could see it. Mr. Blast with 100 bits kicks off a hype train. Thank you very much.
Where people are like, yeah, let's take rich people's money and do this ridiculous sci-fi thing that has no chance of working, but hey, they have deep pockets. It would be the same.
For those who don't know why cryogenic freezing doesn't work, if you try and freeze your body, you know how water is interesting in that a lot of things, when they go from a liquid to a solid, their volume decreases because of the shape of water molecules. Water, when it freezes, actually increases in volume. Now, that's interesting, but for the cryogenic freezer, it's not good because the water in your cells, importantly, your brain cells, the seat of your personality and identity, the water in your cells, if you're frozen, will expand and lyse the cells open. It will destroy the cells. So the process of freezing itself destroys your brain tissue, basically. So unless in some future sci-fi way they figured out how to freeze people without that, it's not doing anything. You're just like a corpsicle. H Baird with 100 bits says, you said Klingon. Oh god.
Experience beige.
Kaplock. That was a terrible Klingon. Jesus. It was all up here. It wasn't down here. Kaplock. I got nothing. Where'd he go? There he is.
Thing with the space stuff. Hey, rich people, give me all your money, and I'll launch you I'll build like a missile silo in your backyard with an escape pod that you'll be able to hang out in space for a set amount of time. And man, that would be a really big industry to take away money from rich people. Build your own escape silo. So I just wanted to make a video on this. I thought that this is such a brilliant idea that it deserved its own video. Thank you for the comment.
Ooh, good real-world example I just thought of. Have you ever frozen a steak or frozen hamburger and then eaten it after you thawed it? You know how it tastes weird and the texture's off? It's because you froze it. Same thing happens to your brain.
Every Dr. Evil out there would have their own big boy to shoot them into outer space, allegedly, if they needed to escape. But it doesn't exist. Interesting too, how it had an evil layer underneath an alleged volcano.
That's the joke, is that villain volcano layers are a trope.
I was just searching on...
Hans doesn't believe volcanoes are real. I should have expressed that. Hans thinks volcanoes are a hoax. Yeah.
Google, and this was perfect. Look at the things that started filling in when I said
24% to level 1 on the hype train.
Billionaire builds bunker, underground bunker. Those are the top two things. Why are billionaires building underground bunkers? Why is that the solution? I thought that Earth...
I mean, I don't think it's a solution. I just think it's a thing that, like, a lot of tech bro millionaires and billionaires think they can survive in. I don't necessarily think that's a long or medium term solution to the problem of society collapsing, but they can waste money if they want.
Is like doomed in a lot of these people's minds. So
what does this man believe in? Biblical literalism based off of the King James Bible.
Why aren't they reaching out for
his own specific interpretation of it, of course.
The stars? Why aren't the billionaires funding, let's get a little space station on Mars, or let's build our own ISS for rich people to escape the cataclysms that are about to happen on Earth?
Again, a space station needs to be supplied. A space station, unless it, like, had again, we're talking sci-fi shit of, like, hydroponics and the ability to go gather resources. You would die. Vest Demon, thanks for 200 bits. 30 seconds on the hype train. Skip is with 50. Thank you.
That doesn't exist because it's fantasy. Most people, when they're that rich, I think that they probably know that, you know, space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. They probably know at that point. The billionaires are probably Illuminati. So here's a bunch of billionaire bunker things.
Yeah, just scroll through Google
Why go
Images.
through all this effort?
That's content. Profane Priestess with 50 bits says, should also say that that psychologically and anthropologically, conspiracy theories are coping mechanisms and no one is immune to the flaws in our brain. Many conspiracy theories have difficulty coping with the complexity of the world. It boggles the mind, and conspiracies explain them away. Yeah, you can look at this historically, too. When there have been disasters or things outside of people's control, people look for someone or some entity to blame. People look for simple, easy solutions that they can imagine themselves having agency within, even if it's scary. So look at, like, historically when the plague was spreading, unfortunately it was there were already anti-Semitic beliefs throughout Europe at the time, and people clung on to those, and instead of just recognizing, hey, like, disease is spreading, they started blaming Jewish people for poisoning wells, right? Similarly, nowadays, conspiracy theorists might blame LGBT people like myself, or, again, more anti-Semitic tropes because time is a flat circle, and blame people they don't like. It's an exercise in simplifying the world, making oneself feel like you have more agency than you actually do, and demonizing people you don't like. It's sort of an adjustment to your worldview. It's interesting.
Effort if you could go to space. Why do none of these people want to go to space? Why doesn't Mark Zuckerberg have his own ISS escape situation? So there you go. I think it's such a simple but brilliant idea that really shines a light on outer space being fake. That if outer space
Neither in this case, Schifazoa. I was just mentioning it as an example.
were real, the billionaires wouldn't be needing to build a bunch of bunkers. They would be building the big boy rocket to get out of this place. And they would be putting their money into that kind of stuff. Man, it really is monopoly money at this point. And if stuff isn't being done, like, this is a thought that I had earlier, so I'm just going to say it again. People love to come up with a business idea that just siphons away money from rich people because they know that they have deep pockets and that they're ridiculous a lot of times. Just because you're rich doesn't mean that you have any sense.
Mr.
So
Blast has sent me a picture of the Deems device that he has. Beautiful.
Somebody knows that they can take a bunch of money from rich people and keep taking their money because they're like, well, we have to keep your person frozen, so they probably have to pay monthly. They keep paying. What do you call that?
They pay a monthly, but it's actually paid for by when you actually, like, pay for your freezing. Your money that you have goes into an account with other people's, and the interest from the account pays for your monthly service. That's why it's like $60,000 or something you have to put in. I think that was a couple decades ago. It's probably more now. But it used to be about $60,000 to freeze like a whole body, I think, and that money would go into, again, some sort of account, and then monthly interest would pay for, top-ups on your CO2 or whatever.
Payment plan. They probably get these rich people on
Why did I
payment
say CO2? Liquid nitrogen is what I meant.
plans to keep their loved ones frozen, or send them into outer space.
If you want to go to space, NASA's taking applications for that astronaut corps until April 2nd. Let's flood them with queer applications. Let's not.
Send their ashes in outer space. Just
I'll go to space though.
Duping these rich people out of money, but they can't actually go there, and they can't actually build their own ISS. And even though they certainly would, if it was possible. Revelation chapter 6 verses 16 and 17. And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth.
And then it just goes off on the Bible. Well, that's fun. So thanks everyone for hanging out. For the Raiders, you caught me close to the end of the stream. I actually ended up going a little over, because you guys showed up. Good to have you here. If you liked it, if you had fun, if you want to hang out again in the future, make sure you give the channel a follow. We'd love to have you. The community's always looking for people to come hang out and have a good time. Again, safe space for LGBT people. We have a lot of fun. So, give a follow if you'd like. If not, it was good to have you here nonetheless, and I hope to see you in the future. Maybe our paths will cross again here on this wide, wide internet. Peep Lord with 40-bit says you don't have to read this aloud. Oh, wait. I won't read it out loud. All right. Have a good night, everyone. See the rest of you later. I will be back tomorrow to do Sovsit Watch. We'll talk about Chili's jail phone call. And that's it. Love you, Mr. Blast. And that's it. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.